Professor.
Good shit. Late to every episode. Late so much, I'm going to have to buy you a pregnancy test.
Bob Rude.
I want to be a podcaster. Yay!
His mama named him Kenta. I'm going to call him Kenta.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcasting school is really paying off for you.
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Oh my God, mine just stopped recording. No, we're good. We're still recording.
What a dick.
What kind of game is it?
War games. Let a war game.
You're our impressionist.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing I've said in the last half hour.
Fuck Nia Jax. Fuck you in that storyline. You went with Joey Janela.
Yeah.
He has that face that I just want to fucking punch.
He's the dollar store version of John Moxley.
The first ever promo wars, we are flipping a nail file. How many times has the Bucks dropped their pants? You laid there and just let them just shower you with their wrestling matches.
Bark like a dog.
Oh, Jinx, holy shit. How did that actually happen?
Here we go.
Good wrestling day to everyone joining us again here. We're back, the Top of Wrestling Podcast. It is episode 2 of season 2. Feeling good, feeling great. Last week was a lot of fun, and this week, a lot to talk about. Some very interesting news, some things that have come out of WWE. We have some things that we're going to be talking about in terms of AEW's all-out pay-per-view. Kind of see what the overall take is. Was it a good pay-per-view? Was it a bad pay-per-view? But more than anything, to begin with, we always like to say thank you very much for joining us here. Whether it be that you are listening to us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MySpace, and even AIM. Thank you guys so much for joining us on every one of those platforms. Hopefully you're playing them all at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no other way to really introduce him. Where can old O.D.M be? I beat his ass in promo wars, he ran away from me. In season 1, he did the best that he could, impersonating wrestlers, but now he's gone off to Hollywood.
Hey, Professor, I just got married. Don't worry, I didn't marry her under my real name.
Oh my God, I got it. I didn't marry in a real name.
This is why
Blue Heaven.
This is why you
My
can't,
Blue Heaven.
This is why you can't binge on chicken nuggets before the episode.
Dude, okay, hang on. You just said I got married. I'm like, there's so many things. I was about to just be like, well, good for you. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, this could be anything, but now that's a good one. Don't worry, I didn't use my real name. Vinny, right?
Yeah. So you know that's actually
that's his name. Vinny.
So you know that the movie's actually a unofficial sequel to Goodfellas. Vinny's character is Henry Hill. Henry Hill actually did that in real life. He got married under his second name.
Really?
Yeah.
So wait, did his real wife kind of get all mad and take off? And
I think so.
She's like, "Don't go through my purse. I saw you get my credit card, Vinny." You know, the best line ever, I just really would love to use out of that movie just once, is just walking up to a chick at a grocery store and be like, "You could melt all this stuff," while she's standing in front of the ice cream section. Anyway, good stuff. Hey, I got it. Then I didn't really necessarily lose
right.
on episode 2. I was there. Hey man, I even sang an intro for you today. I mean, dude, that's how good this is. It's a good show. Good shit. Good start. So, we are fresh off of this past Saturday night's All Out pay-per-view. I don't know if you are the same way as me, but I treat All Out as almost as a WrestleMania because that was the beginning to me, right? All In, the very first one in Chicago, that big one that Cody and the Young Bucks put on. The sequel to it was only 1 year later with All Out, and that's where we crowned Chris Jericho as the first ever AEW World Champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Because, yeah, Double or Nothing, then that, yes. And then here we are again, and Jon Moxley was in the world title picture against MJF. And I got to be honest, it's everything that I remembered as a kid. I'm not just saying, they're using blood, or it's the heel, the strict heel. MJF does not, he will never, ever steer into a babyface role. If he is, I'm promising you, give it a week or two, he's only fucking with you. He's
Probably.
not like, little tension already between him and Wardlow. However, I gotta say, spoiler, if you're listening to the show, we definitely already know who won that match. I knew when he was gonna lose the match. It was in Jon Moxley's promo in the video package.
Oh, that was so
when
perfect.
You get there and you realize you're not ready. I go, oh my God, he's not winning tonight. That's for sure. I'm like, he just called it right there by saying you're not ready. But the video package was awesome. I mean, we have to talk about that. Like, what did you think of AEW's video packages overall? All their promos that they did overall that night.
They were top notch. To me, they rivaled WWE. They didn't have as much flash, which is good. There wasn't like a lot of like fast cuts. Luckily for most of the promos that they had to do, they had a lot of stock footage. When I say stock footage, I mean there was enough history there, so they didn't have to scrounge for like independent matches from 3 years ago to fill up a video segment. So, yeah, I mean, it was top notch, and it did what you wanted to do. It gave you the backstory. It told you why they're fighting, and basically it painted the picture for you, so you were ready to go if you knew nothing about the match prior.
The one thing I told you, I texted you about it, is I said, dude, I'm already interested in the pay-per-view 3 minutes in, because the announcers ran down the entire card.
Yep.
They didn't just go, and tonight's main event, we know that we're going to be seeing The Undertaker versus blah, blah, blah. Just like you always see the main, as WWE does, they only talk about a couple matches in the beginning of the night, or just kind of where the main storyline is. AEW treated every match as if it was important. And they didn't just go, plus we got Young Bucks versus Jurassic Park. And then we have, like, they weren't just flying through them real quick. He was like, these guys, they were tag teams, or they were friends the other night. Now they're going to be doing this. They gave backstory, at least 15 to 20 seconds on each one of the matches that got me into it.
Yep.
So it was outstanding. I mean, might as well. I mean, we're gonna eventually talk Wednesday Night Wars, but it is somewhat of news. Overall, what'd you think of the entire All Out pay-per-view?
I have a lot to say, so I don't.
So
really
you want to hold it? Okay.
I want to hold it. If I had to put a letter grade on it, and I thought about this, typically with pay-per-views for me, it's tough because you look at the extremes. And especially when it's a WWE one, you basically grade it based on what to expect, which is not a lot these days.
It's basically predictable versus unpredictable.
Yeah.
That's all you're grading now,
right?
With WWE.
I have to say that the stuff that I liked a lot. The stuff that I didn't like, I hated. I honestly,
agreed.
I'm gonna say a C, maybe a C plus
for the whole pay-per-view.
For the whole pay-per-view, yeah. There's just some things that just didn't.
Okay, so I guess we are gonna debate today. That's cool. I'm in. But one thing we won't actually probably argue about, I actually feel for sure that we will not be, is in today's top topic. Haven't even mentioned it today. The rise and fall of the Intercontinental Championship. I'm gonna give total props to O.D.M. on this because I wanted to always talk about the IC title. To me, that was my favorite title because that meant if you held on to that title, a couple of years we're going to be seeing you with the world title probably strapped around your waist too. It's like the VP role of a company, man. How can you do, and is every one of the old school Intercontinental champions will tell you, when I say old school, I'm talking about your workhorses. You're talking about Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, that era, those guys, they will say they closed live shows while the world champion was on in the middle and got to get back to the hotel or get out of there so we could beat the crowd. Those guys would be the ones to put on those last matches and the best matches and be the workhorse. Tag division is much of the same back then, but that's going to be another rise and fall episode. But I don't even know. It'll take us a long time, I think, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's been some little rises and then little peaks. And then, never mind. It was a speed bump. We chipped.
This one's great because I think you and I have discussed this. We've referenced it on the show a lot, but outside of the show, we've talked about the IC title a ton. And with this one, like, you just mentioned with the tag teams, there's little peaks and valleys, and you could say that with pretty much anything. But I think with this, with the IC title, you can almost pinpoint where it started to go downhill. So, I mean, to me, it's pretty...
And I know I haven't... we're kind of jumping the gun because I'm just excited talking about it, but I give you a lot of credit because you did a lot of awesome research this past week, and it's funny because as you're going through some of the notes, you're like, and there it is. That was the fall right there. That's where it stopped. And it's pretty. I'm like,
yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a widely debated kind of conversation. I think we're all going to be in agreement of just where it did stop, unfortunately. And it's funny because legitimately before the show, I go, who's the fucking IC champion right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't even know.
Exactly.
I was like, let's see. I had to go backwards. I go, last match I remember. Okay. Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 36. Oh, pandemic. And I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Seeing it, and I have to argue real quick back to you on the All Out thing. See, under the circumstances of this pandemic and what they did with a show of having people in an arena, I actually didn't mind it.
No, that part. No,
but again, there are things that we could definitely debate.
Sure.
So before we do that, let's talk about some news because a couple of releases or people taken off from some companies, or at least one company in particular. So O.D.M., give me the news. Oh, by the way, I have the doc up this week. I could see it.
Yeah, all right. We're on the same page, literally. All right. So the first one sucks because I think we talked about this.
Second.
Yeah, right. Again, those chicken nuggets, man, they just stick with you. Mauro Ranallo has left the WWE, and this sucks because last week, I think I found out this news the night that after we recorded last week's episode. And on that episode,
which I gotta say, we kind of messed up because we're like, oh, tonight Wednesday Night War is going to be huge for the Iron Man match,
which was on Tuesday,
and it was on Tuesday, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, it doesn't matter, but what our predictions were, but I was kind of hoping Mauro was going to be on that match.
I know. So now they've basically got Michael Cole III with Wade Barrett, and it's funny because last week I had mentioned Wade Barrett, Mauro Ranallo would be fantastic as a pairing, but that's not going to happen. So best of luck to Mauro. He deals with a lot, with his own personal issues, and if he's ever in a role, where we can see what he's doing or enjoy what he's doing, I'm all in.
Just be a boxing fan.
Yeah.
He's still getting involved with some of the other combative sports.
Sure.
Which I dig because he's a great announcer, man.
He is.
I was like, man, what if we just see him pop up Saturday night at All Out?
Oh,
like,
my God.
All these timings. I was thinking the same thing for Renee Young. You can't tell me the entire match of MJF versus Moxley, you weren't like, maybe she's just going to come out and, slap Wardlow in the face. Anything. I was like, she can. Come on, just pop out. So it was kind of, same thing with Mauro. I was like, ooh, is he going to be an announcer? I'm like, who do you kick to the curb?
That's what I'm saying. They're not going to get rid of any of them. So, yeah, definitely. So, again, best wishes tomorrow.
Best of a wish to you, sir.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, you referenced it. NXT was on Tuesday last week. It's going to be on Tuesday this week. They're calling it Super Tuesday, and it looks like they had been contemplating permanently moving NXT to Tuesday nights, which would be interesting because we wouldn't have the wars, but I think both promotions would have benefited from it. And we would have benefited from it because then we didn't have to do that balancing act of having to either float between one or the other or choose one over the other and then revisit the other. But apparently Vince said, nah, fuck that. And they're going to stay on Wednesday nights. So That's as of now.
And that's because Vince thought that AEW is going to be a flash in the pan kind of thing. He didn't think that they would be able to last. And he's like, from everything I've read, and I believe it was Brian Alvarez or something like that, and saying, that's excellent journalism by me, or something like that. This guy said it for sure, I think. Someone did say that Vince had the theory that, okay, yeah, no, if we keep him on Wednesday, we'll be able to kind of squash him out, we'll beat him out, and then AEW turns and signs a 3-year deal with TNT at the end of this past year.
Yep.
And now I think Vince is like, oh, shit, they're staying around. All right. But to me, I'm like, it's kind of a no-brainer, though. I'm okay with you guys doing. Well, first of all, it's a no-brainer for our podcast.
Right.
I thought about it as soon as I saw, like, NXT moving to Tuesday nights, and I go, oh, there goes that segment. And I'm like, Tuesday, Wednesday Night Wars.
I'm more pissed off about the bumper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll just scream it every week. No, but I really, not just for the competition of it, for real. Right now, yeah, everybody can use I'd like to sit back and enjoy one while it's live and then the other one. That's not the day and age we live in. Not everybody is doing this on cable. Most people are doing it on a streaming device or Hulu and things like that. And I'm not saying that that's a major difference, but what I'm just saying is variety is good. And NXT has proven that they're in the race, right? I mean, it's not like they're losing miserably every week.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, and you used to, put the numbers in there, and same thing, we would talk about that. Dynamite did have I'd say maybe a higher rating, but NXT, you were already established. You were an already going company. AEW had something to prove when they started in October of last year on Dynamite on Wednesday nights. They had to go, we're coming out of the gate. We need to provide a weekly television show. NXT, you already had established feuds. You guys should just walk in BSD. Do you know what I mean? Like, just go right through.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be worried.
Yeah, and that's the thing, ultimately, is, and both sides could make this argument, is you have a brand new fledgling promotion. They haven't been doing Dynamite. It hasn't been a year yet, I don't think.
In a month.
Yeah. So
in 1 month.
Yeah. So it's been 11 months. Okay.
It was like right on my anniversary, my wedding anniversary, that the first episode was, and I was like, so we're doing things early in the day, right? Because I got shit to do later.
Going against an established promotion over the last 40 years, going against their C show, which is their developmental talent. So from WWE's perspective, okay, that's cute. Yeah, call us when you're hitting Raw numbers, which aren't that much this recently. And then AEW can say, dude, we haven't even been doing this a year, and we're already past your C show. It won't be long before we're catching up to SmackDown, and that's certainly a possibility.
Dude, they're going to catch up to Raw, and no problem, only because Raw's numbers just keep declining with
Yep.
what you keep putting out there is content, if you will.
Yeah.
There are some changes that we have going on. I know that we did talk with our man Nightwing analyst. We're going to check in with him a little bit later with good shit, but we won't dive too necessarily deep into this, but there are some new things happening on SmackDown.
Sure.
Do you want to talk about this one?
Well, we've talked about this
because you're a fan of the tag team, so I'm kind of really curious of your take on this.
We've talked about this before. Yeah, man. We don't watch SmackDown and Raw that often, right? We typically just go to the recap. All right. So when I saw this recap, I was little stunned. Jey Uso is going to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Clash of Champions.
Is Jey the one married to
Naomi? I have no idea. 50-50.
I was just going to say, I think that'd be a good it's a good call because you could use her in a storyline too.
Yep.
No, the reason, but it's funny because you see it as the recap. I saw it on Facebook and I go, did someone create this picture? That's stupid.
Yeah,
Why would anybody want this? And I go, and then someone goes, can't believe they're actually doing this. I go, wait, what? So I had to hurry, go to wrestlinginc.com and I go, oh my God, I got to read this.
Right.
But it was kind of compelling how they went through it with Roman taking jabs at him throughout the show. Good to see if he can get it done on his own.
Yeah, that was the big one.
It was. I think you kind of knew that he was going to win, though, in a way. Especially once he took the spot of the injured, who was someone.
Yeah, someone.
Doesn't matter. But he was out. As soon as he got put in, it looked to be inevitable. Again, this is just me reading spoilers as I'm going through. Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. A lot of theories, a lot of ways that this could play out, but they are doing something different. Does this make you want to tune in to SmackDown on Fox? Just curious. I'm really curious. Does this intrigue people?
On its face, no, for me. But like you said, when we talk to Nightwing, we'll probably dive a little deeper into that.
And something we didn't talk about with Nightwing, but I'll just throw this idea out there right now, is you got Roman Reigns in there. Now you have Paul Heyman. He is the advocate for not only him, but of course Brock Lesnar. You want to put someone in that picture right there? People may have bitched, it's too soon. I said he would be the champion before the end of the year, but now I don't think that's going to happen with Reigns on SmackDown. You could have very easily put Matt Riddle into that scenario right there, showing how much of a badass fighter he can be.
Yep.
Because the background with Heyman and him, plus the Lesnar and all this, and it could have worked itself out really well. So maybe they go that road, but again, that would make me watch SmackDown, though. Riddle versus Reigns.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm not going to watch SmackDown between now to Clash of Champions because I'm just like, all right, well, he's fighting his cousin, and they'll probably show a video package that's worth it. But you see, if I was told that was Riddle versus Reigns, I'm like, ooh, I got to watch every promo.
Exactly.
It could be really good.
Yep.
Because those recaps don't always give you all the good stuff, so it makes you want to watch it. This doesn't.
Yep. Absolutely agreed. Something else that didn't make people watch apparently was the AOP. Between injuries and their lack of push, they've been released by WWE. So, best of luck,
Razar and
Akam,
Kazar, and Phasar.
Yes,
Blazer,
the Blazer,
Phaser. They were better off in NXT. They never should have came up.
That's that. So, WWE or Vince McMahon, you could say, is, and I love the way that the headline that I copied this from.
I'm actually reading the headline how it says this.
WWE asking talent to cease working with third-party platforms such as Twitch and Cameo. No, it's Vince McMahon saying you have 30 days to stop using these third-party platforms because we own your name and likeness. Paige has already pretty much said fuck that and has changed the name on her Twitch account.
She makes money off of it, man.
Yep, they all make money off of it, and they should be able to do that. I thought they were independent contractors. So if they're independent contractors...
Thank you. Now let me ask you this question. For real, have you ever used either platform?
No.
So, a little side story. For my wife's birthday, I decided to see just whatever. I checked on Cameo, seeing what kind of people were on there, right? Fuck, dude. Some of these people ask for a lot of money.
Sure.
Like, okay, have you seen the movie Good Boys? Three little boys who have...
Oh, no, I haven't
Molly.
seen that one yet. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the one little kid in the movie, for $20, I can get him to say happy birthday to my wife on Cameo. And she loved him in the movie. She thought he was hysterical. And I go, fuck yeah, that's worth $20.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Snooki from Jersey Shore, like $3,000. JWoww is $6,000. And I go, for a fucking video, I go, you better climax in that video. I'm like, are you
Only
serious?
if I can reach through the phone and slap them.
I was like, are you serious? Dude, some of these people on there. And then I was like, well, she loves The Office. And I was like, man, Meredith from The Office is $150. I'm like, well, come on, man. I'm like, that's not...
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have... I don't know, man. Either way. But they make a living off of it, man. Like you said, you're an independent contractor. Every actor, sports celebrity person in the world is able to do it, and you're going to tell them they're not allowed to? What is some high school bullshit is that?
Yeah.
By the way, you guys need to dress this way, too.
Yeah.
But Kip Sabian, I don't even mind if we just jump right to it.
So great. So great.
Awesome. So I almost fast forward through his promo because I just don't care about him.
Okay.
We're getting married. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And he goes, and I have not only my best man, I have the
best man. Yeah.
Man. So who is that? That already got me wondering, like, who could it be? I was like, do you take Rusev out of one crappy love storyline in WWE and toss him into theirs?
Holy crap! Man? I didn't ever think of that.
That was the very first thing.
You know who it's gonna be? It's gonna be Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. When he said he goes, I have the best man. I was like, please tell me it's Joey Janela, because that would be fun for me with the whole, because it's his ex. But then he goes, oh yeah, one more thing, and lifts up the cue card that has his Twitch account, and oh, hang on, let's light the candle that is on top of the icing on that cake. AEW puts at the bottom, this message was approved by All Elite Wrestling.
Beautiful.
Boom!
Yep. Boom goes the dynamite.
Oh, that was exciting. I saw that and I go, they won that war.
I was going to say, like, all right. Yeah, well,
the whole account, everything. And I'm like, to me, I really wasn't familiar with Twitch until I heard about Rob Van Dam being on Twitch and getting all sorts of weird. But the fact that they did that on their show, that's going to be there forever, right? It's not like in WWE someone throws up a sign and they can edit it and take it down. It never existed.
Right.
AEW approved that. That's there. That dude's account, no problem. He's getting people off of probably people just going, hey, man, I just want to say thanks for saying fuck you to WWE. That was really cool. Like,
pretty much.
I almost want to. I feel like we should do it as to the Top of Wrestling podcast. We should sign up on Twitch just to talk to him.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We can look into that. I do have two other things, and I didn't put them in the notes because I like to surprise you every once in a while. The first one, as a music,
you're quitting,
huh? Oh, go quick.
Yeah, I said you're quitting.
Oh, yeah. No. It wouldn't be a podcast episode for the Top of Wrestling if we didn't bring up Cornette at some point. During his last, I believe it was the Jim Cornette Experience. I don't even remember what he was talking about, but he made an allegorical reference to Devil Went Down to Georgia. And he basically...
You know what's really funny is when you said he said, I go, something racist
or
something. I'm like, because, I don't know, man, he's just so old school with his mentality. And you go, Devil Went Down to Georgia. I'm like, here we go.
No, and this isn't a bad thing. This is, I think, one of the most brilliant things he's ever said.
Oh, okay.
When you listen to the lyrics, and and he's not singing them, but he's saying them, he goes, this is how you cut a wrestling angle. It specifies the characters, the heel and the baby face, why they're feuding, where they're feuding. And, the heel comes out hot out the gate, using tricks, brings out the devils to back him up and plays the mean lick. And then the baby face makes his comeback and puts him down. Dude, I just thought that was really impressive and worth bringing up. Like I said, I don't remember what segment of the show it was, but it just the way he broke it down, I was like, holy crap, he's absolutely right.
And what's funny is that, yes, that's a very easy formula to follow. WWE, they're like, I got a formula we could follow. Let's go with Jim Croce's Bad Leroy Brown. How about a guy comes in all big dick swinging acting, and he's got a custom Continental. Let's put him into a love story line. He goes into a bar, hits on a girl, gets his ass beat. That's the WWE version of it. They go that way. Hey, man, songs can really be a good formula.
Which is hilarious because I think Great Brian Lest actually said that exact same thing right afterwards. So you're
Are you serious?
Yeah, they definitely brought up Jim Croce's Leroy Brown.
Because
He
I just thought
absolutely
about. I
did.
was like, well, let's think about another
Yeah.
story, and that's really
Because
really funny.
those
I swear to
tunes-
God, I had it, you telling me this is the very first, like you said, surprise. It's the very first time I even heard of any of this. So that's even funnier that's where my mind went.
He said like a lot of Croce songs are like that. He starts off with the heel and he ends up turning babyface by the end. So yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. The second one isn't really a piece of news. It's just something that I thought needed to be said out loud just because we like to trash WWE, and that is the fact that Otis still has the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
So
He's not cashing it. Well,
who knows? Who cares? Who
maybe
cares?
he cashes in on. Oh, hang on. Maybe he just cashes in on Lesnar. I'm sorry. Not, geez, I'm
was
just so
gonna
used
say.
to having him with the title.
Right.
Maybe he just cashes in on Reigns, and next pay per view, Reigns takes it back, and there's your Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I'm ready to
Cashes
forget
in at
about
the
it,
end
so.
of Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
After the Jey Uso match.
No, don't.
The Usos come in. They beat down Roman Reigns. After the end of it, Otis comes in, takes the title.
No. No, I say he fumbles.
The people on the screens go wild.
It. Yeah, right. Anyway, that's my news.
Dicks are out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, man, hey, much like today, it is the day that our show is aired, so there's only one topic we like to talk about for sure is a guarantee that fits the day of the week, and we already talked about that bumper.
Wednesday Night Wars!
All right, man, so now can we freaking talk about All Out? Like, can we actually go down and talk about, like, it, or do we want to first talk about NXT and AEW's Wednesday night first, because that's what has to do with Wednesday nights.
Yeah, so let's blow through this. I'm sure there's a couple things that we're going to want to talk about real quick. One.
Well,
in
that's
particular.
true, because we do have to give our noteworthy, top moment of the week for either one of the shows. So, let's talk about NXT. What happened on that show?
Well,
because I was a little pissed off.
You seem to have a lot of company on that thought. It was a short episode because of the Iron Man match that went an hour. Swerve Scott and Breezango defeated Legado del Fantasma in a 6-man street fight. Who cares? Candice LeRae defeated Casey Catanzaro. Who cares? Timothy Thatcher and Bronson Reed had a banger of a match.
Good stuff match. It's funny how you just ran through reading those. That's probably how fast I ran through fast forwarding those matches, because I was like, I don't really care. I'm like, of course Candice LeRae is gonna win. I'm like, I really don't care. But when Thatcher and Reed came on, I go, I bet you this is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah.
They stiff. I love Thatcher. Huge fan of Timothy Thatcher.
Same, and I don't know who Bronson Reed is, but let me start to get to know him because I already love him. And did you see his new Tinatron entrance?
No.
Bro.
Maybe.
Bro. I think it's the best Tinatron. Triniton.
Yo, he's got tits all over the screen.
Yeah, pretty
when
much.
he walks
right?
in.
And you see that singlet, right? It's like a city skyline, but it's sort of animated, and then it's like him coming into the city like Godzilla, and there's all these helicopters and shit. Dude, it's dope. It is dope.
You know what I thought was really dope was what he wore. I don't think we even actually mentioned what he wore at TakeOver a couple weeks back. It was the best nod to Bam Bam Bigelow that I had ever seen, man.
Oh,
his tights,
yeah,
with the flames on it was what, and they kept mentioning it too during that ladder match. I think it was Beth Phoenix. She's like, and I'm telling you, he would be making Bam Bam proud as a big man that could move fast, because that's who he was. And Reed is like that, and I'm like, hey man, if that's his hero or the person he looked up to that he wanted to be or be like, hell of a person to be, man. Because
hell yeah,
that was the first original Bam Bam Bigelow. Without Bam Bam Bigelow, you don't have Samoa Joe. You don't have Kevin Steen.
You don't have
Kevin
Keith
Owens,
Lee.
the guys. Thank you. Yeah, you don't have those guys that are your technically overweight guys that move like a cruiserweight.
Yep.
And Bam Bam could do it, man. Bam Bam was good, man. I loved him. So I'm excited. I'm on board with Bronson Reed. See, that's my point, man. Is that NXT has good shit already there. I'm like, don't take yourself out of the game. You got my attention.
Yep.
Not your first 2 matches, but you got my attention.
Sure, and you're going to get that anyway. And then obviously,
you almost lost my attention with how you closed your show.
Yeah, well, Adam Cole, Finn Balor finished a 2-2 draw at the end. There's a couple things I just want to bring up real quick. Ciampa hit this powerbomb backstabber. Dope. That one got my attention. Finn Balor and Adam Cole, baby, had a 2-sweet in the middle of the ring. I know it's probably overused, but I still thought that was cool. But ultimately,
well, I think they don't go to the well very often with
not in
those
NXT
guys well, or even on
with AJ and Finn, and the Good Brothers, they did it a lot. They did a lot of inside jokes. Yeah. But
that's true.
So here's the deal. The ending was highly criticized by a lot of people. I'm guessing you feel the same way. I can understand why. Why did you put us through
I'm on both sides. I get both sides.
Sure.
Again, we're in a ratings war, right? In a way. So
let's stretch it out, right?
Let's bring you back next week.
Yeah, why did we sit through an hour just to get a reduced version of that the next week? Here's the thing. I thought the match was great. I think Ciampa stole the show. It could have been Ciampa in there with 3 other monkeys, and he would have made it look good.
I thought it was going to come down to him or Baylor winning the title.
Same.
The fact that Adam Cole is in there tells me 100% that Tuesday night, tomorrow, I know that we record on Mondays, right. I think Baylor wins tomorrow. Why I say that is because I think they needed to have a good match with. You have to have an amazing match, I feel like, with Adam Cole and Finn Balor together. I don't know if Baylor and Ciampa would have brought that same chemistry if you did the same tie situation, but it was Ciampa and Baylor.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, ultimately, listen, I'm, back in the day, I love Johnny Gargano. I can't say I'm a huge, or I won't even say fan. I'm just not as interested. So if we had, he
was the least amount of who I wanted to win.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like anybody but Gargano.
Because look at it this way: Cole versus Ciampa, Cole versus Balor, Balor versus Ciampa. I'll take any of those matches.
Yeah,
any one of them.
I have no problem with Gargano. I think that he had a great run for a couple of years in NXT as the baby face, right? That top guy that, versus Andrade, versus Ciampa. Now, you decide to go heel, and I'm not invested in your character, and I don't think that your character should be donning a world championship or an NXT championship right now. So many other guys could be. Now, I want you to think about this, man. Finn Balor wins us. A returning eventual Pete Dunne. You got Thatcher. You have Bronson Reed. Adam Cole versus those guys doesn't fit the mold. But Baylor brings on all new world championship possibilities. I don't know if they call it NXT World Champion, but it's the main title, so I'm going to call it a World Championship on that show. I'm pissed off that it ended in a tie because I wanted to see a winner after 60 freaking minutes.
Did you see Balor go limp to make it harder for Cole to roll him over, so make it look really close?
That was the absolute best, well-timed end of an Iron Man match that I have seen in a very long time. I'm like, I don't know if, however the communication was, if Adam Cole's like limp, and then all of a sudden, turn! Like, whatever the communication was, he turned at the right exact second that made it work. And I was like, that was compelling because I was like, oh, turn. It was really cool. But then I'm like, well, I guess next week I'll get to watch another good match. So you have me there. I'm pissed because I didn't get a winner. But then again, I also just watched 60 minutes of wrestlers that I like. Again, didn't want to see Gargano win, but he still put on a great show. My biggest complaint is one of the best spots that I got to see was in the upper left-hand corner of the screen because they were on a commercial break. Oh. And I was like, are you kidding me? And it was just like there was a lot of good moments that I was just... I wish
Sure.
they could have saved that for a takeover because it would have been completely uninterrupted. But what we did get to see, the 40-plus minutes or whatever, it was good. It was a pretty good match. I think Baylor comes out Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there.
But yeah, what happened with AEW, because this was their go home show heading into All Out.
It was Santana and Ortiz beat Best Friends. Thank God.
The best.
It was. The match was not the best.
No.
Young Bucks and Jurassic Park Express, as you like to call them, defeated Private Profits and SCU. That set up a match.
We were confused about that setup.
Yes, we were. That's another thing that
I thought those two teams were the ones that were tagging together were facing each other, and the winners were going to face off. This was an interesting version, but now as I heard it that way, I go, well, still better than SCU and Private Party, so I guess I'm better than that with that anyway. And well, we'll talk about their match. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Jake Hager, quick backstage promo with Orange Cassidy, basically summoning him to the ring per Jericho's request. Shivani had an in-ring interview with Kenny Omega. FTR came out, and then Paige came out. Kind of just setting things up for the pay-per-view. Jericho beat Joey Janela, thank God.
Wait, this past Wednesday. Go ahead. My bad.
Okay.
Because no, I was just realizing I'm going to save it for my top moment, actually, for both the shows. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Sammy Guevara came out and did like a poster board promo like he normally does, and Matt Hardy was in the wings watching him. Then we had like a 21-man schmaz with like people just in street clothes. Ended up
setting up the Battle
in.
Royal.
Yep. Thunder Rosa had a great match with Serena Deeb, who, if you don't remember, Serena Deeb was one of the people furloughed by WWE and was also in the Straight Edge Society with CM
One of the
Punk.
very first people to shave her head and join the Straight Edge Society.
There you go.
And she was fired for, I want to say, I don't know what it 100% was at that time, or was suspended for a wellness policy, but then was fired or let go. She was a part of a crew that was let go when the Straight Edge Society was really like at one of its highest peaks, and then she was taken out of the Straight Edge Society. Huge
right.
Serena Deeb fan. Even bigger. I didn't know who Thunder Rosa really was. I mean, I watched a little bit with NWA, but I have a new favorite in women's wrestling.
And we're going to be talking about that soon, too. Shivani did another interview, this time with Big Swole, a.k.a. Dollar Store, Bianca Belair, Britt Baker, and...
I was going to say Dollar Store Velveteen Dream.
Well, there you go. I think either one works. Britt Baker and Reba came in and, beat her down. And then we had the main event with Jon Moxley defeating the lawyer Mark Sterling. MJF and Wardlow beat Moxley down post-match, and I think this is one of the things that I want to talk about because if you don't mind, I'll just go into it. This was my highlight for the week. Yeah. There was
when he raises the title, I'm betting, right?
Wardlow, so MJF, comes out, he throws the walker aside, he takes off the neck brace, big surprise, and just starts beating down Moxley. Meanwhile, Wardlow picks up the title and just stares at it for like a solid 30 seconds before he hands it to MJF. So subtle, so perfect. I don't even think commentary called it out, which is beautiful. Just let it kind of just hang there in the air, because a lot of people.
I think commentary points things out too often because
Agreed.
I feel like that they think the audience just might not be smart enough to catch it. Like, no, we get it, dude. He's staring at the fucking title. I got it.
And then just MJF covered in Moxley's blood, screaming into the camera, yelling, "You want violence? You're going to get violence." Absolutely perfect. Loved it.
And this is the face for the next 25 years.
Yep.
And I go, and it is. It really is going to be. He doesn't have to be in the World Championship picture all the time, but he's going to be an antagonist to any storyline he is in. I'm on board, man. Like now that closing moment made me go, I think MJF may actually win this freaking title.
I know, right? It had me
Compelling
guessing.
shit.
Yep.
That's my point, though. That was good. No one is going, Jey Uso's winning the championship. Like, there's no freaking chance. I really had a thought about MJF. My top moment came from AEW, and it was after the whole FTR Omega Page stuff. Page now is like, all right, I'm here. I'm back on the right page. No pun intended with you. turns to hand the championship to Omega. Omega's already out of the ring. Like, nah, I'm out. And now that brings us to really talking about All Out. And I'm going to take a hop, skip, and a jump, just a little bit in, and say to you, I was right. I said Omega was going to be the heel.
Mm-hmm.
That was... He may not have kicked the old lady down to permanently say, I am a heel, but he put her on an edge of a cliff and dangled 1 foot over. The holding the table, even taking off the bandana or the banner part of the table. And it's like, well, you're clearly about to use this. And then putting it down, I go, oh, that was sick. I go, because you went through the effort of taking it off, right, and not using it. It's extra effort to trick. It's like a movie, right? You do extra things to throw your viewers off. And I said it was going to be Bucks and Omega going full heel. Bucks are very close, especially if you watched their match with Jurassic Park. And then you have the aftermath of Omega trying to leave. Get in the car. Come on. Get in right now. I'm in. I love it. I need some heel Omega. We don't have a heel pack right now, so give me a heel Omega. And guess who's a face champion?
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it.
So as soon as he's done with Lance Archer, I think that our Revolution pay-per-view by February-ish, we should be seeing Omega Moxley. If not sooner, I'd love for it to be sooner, but I don't know how things are going with everything, with the pandemic still, and what their plans are with pay-per-views, how far they're planning out. But let's talk about that pay-per-view. I can understand where someone would want to give this a C grade pay-per-view, the grade for that, when you open up with Big Swole and Britt Baker in a dentist office.
Okay, so Reba looked surprised when Swole came through the door. Don't know why. She knew the match was coming.
Right.
I didn't understand why they did a 10-second horror story style intro and then never
with the music and stuff, right?
And then never revisited it. Britt Baker has at least 2 of the same diploma hanging up in her office.
I wanted to ask the same question. I'm like, yo, how many copies did you make?
The one thing that I will say, okay, the drill was stupid because it wasn't even a drill bit on it. It was a screwdriver bit on it. Don't know if you noticed that.
I did.
I will give them props for the Novocaine spot. I thought that was pretty cool.
It was funny at the end when she couldn't walk.
Yep, it was cool. Gassing her out to win. I mean, listen, at this point, if this is the route you're going, I guess it fits.
Right. No, you're already here. Might as well go completely weird.
It was a disservice to Britt Baker because she's come such a long way.
In the dentistry school.
And I would have rather just seen an in-ring match, but then at the same time, I'm not a huge Big Swole fan. Anytime I've seen her work, I haven't been impressed. So I guess
I liked her attitude.
Sure.
I liked the walking in when the mouth, all the little teeth that were chattering. She goes, "Oh, she think this is a game."
Yeah, right.
I was like, "Okay, this could be cool," but then right there is when the music hit and all that, and I was like, "Oh, I'm over it. I'm out."
Yeah.
I'm like, and I couldn't get out of that match fast enough.
Yep.
Maybe that's why I loved a Young Bucks match. I actually enjoyed them in Jurassic Express. I'm actually going to give them the Express name because, dude, take the mask off Luchasaurus in the next year or so. I get kids love him. I think it was a TV show host recently. No, Reggie Miller, NBA legend.
Yes.
Reggie Miller said his kids absolutely love Jurassic Express. Okay, man. So they're your new day. They are your, you know what I mean? Like they are the fun, upbeat guys that sell merch.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
keep them in that mask. However, in a couple years, unleash that dude.
Yes.
The way he does some moonsaults and moves, I was like, reminds me of watching, like, it's like Brody Lee, man. It's like he doesn't need this mask, man. He's a big guy that can go. I love watching Luchasaurus, which is a really weird fucking thing to say, man. I like watching a dinosaur wrestler. Jeez.
Yeah. There was some. This was good. I'll give the Bucks credit. I've never been a big fan of how they sell or how they fire up or Hulk up or anything like that or cut promos necessarily. But
I hate the talking in the match too.
Yeah.
Like, you're dead. See ya.
Yeah. But I think it works for them because it gives you. It's something we already don't like about them. So now that they're going to be heel, it amplifies that. So a couple good spots. Hope spot for Jungle Boy and Matt Jackson super kicks Luchasaurus. Yeah. Actually, it was Nick Jackson right before the tag, and that was great. And then Nick gets on the apron and says, "Come on, Jungle Boy, come on." I thought that was good heel stuff. And then I believe it was Nick again super kicking Marco Stunt out of his shoes. That was enjoyable. But yeah, definitely you can see it. They're definitely hyped up. It could be a little bit of a swerve, but I'm interested to see where it goes and what they do with it.
Man, Bucks are going heel. They're
so?
already there.
Right.
It's almost they're there and not saying it. It's again they assisted the old lady out of the chair with Omega. Man, it's all slowly getting there.
Sure, no, they definitely seem to be heading that way. So
now we had some ups and downs, of course, in the next match. The Casino Battle Royal 21-man. I got to say, I actually, for some weird reason, love these people drew hearts, these people drew clubs. Getting them all in a little earlier and making some things happen.
Sure.
It was cool because alliances come out at different times. Like both, are they even called Pride and Powerful or anything anymore? Or are they just
I
Santana
think it's just
Ortiz?
Santana or Ortiz.
Like when they came out together, but so did Kingston and Butcher, I believe.
Yep.
So, I mean, I was all right with it. There were some spots that were pretty bad. I guess we'll just talk about the baby elephant in the room, known as Matt Sydal.
Oh.
And first, I'm not sure what the third eye thing is. I don't know why they're like, oh, he's got the third eye. I'm like, the brown eye. That was weird, but the dude was amped up, comes out to the ring, but this is to no fault of his, man.
No.
I don't think he was too amped up because the guy's a pro. We've seen him in WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, everywhere. And you can clearly tell that the rope must have been just having a little bit of...
it was very humid.
Perspiration. Oh, there's that too. That's true. It was hot as hell. I mean, Moxley was drenched before the match began. They said it was so hot in the place.
Yep.
But Matt took one of the worst... I don't want to call it a botch, man. I hate calling it a botch because that's not a botch. A botch is when you go to dive out the rope like Brie Bella and your feet stay on the rope. That's a botch. This is an accident and a very unfortunate one because that dude really could have gotten hurt. If he landed on his neck, like really bad, no one would be sitting here laughing about it the way they do. And I don't think anybody should really be laughing about it anyway. It was bad. But
and his head clipped the rope. His head clipped the rope, too. So
I think so did his arm or shoulder, and I feel like that maybe softened some of that blow. Yeah. But you texted me something, and I want you to take I'm not taking your reins on this. Go ahead.
When he came out, because this is his AEW debut, so you never seen the trial.
Nope, not where I was going with this. Hang on.
Okay, so we'll talk about. I'm assuming you're talking about Will Hobbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude,
so
he got so much of my respect.
Yeah, Will Hobbs. Never heard of him. Apparently, he's been on AEW Dark a lot. He is a monster-looking dude. I'm all in on Will Hobbs. He got a lot of great screen time. Did you see his spine buster? His spine buster was nasty,
impactful.
But
it looked like he was bleeding from the mouth. I think he bit his tongue.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what it looked like. But when Sydal went down, Hobbs was there and just scurried over to him and put his arms over him so we could just talk to him and say, "Hey, man, you all right?" And he was just right there. Maybe it was just because he happened to be close, but he was there to check in on him.
Instinct.
Yep,
dude. Like Sydal hit the ground, he couldn't have been over there within any less than a second. Like as soon as it happened, he was on top of him, and I turned it up because I cranked up the music. I was like, I got to hear what he or the sound, see what he said. Will, hey, you all right? And he goes, yeah, I'm all right, And good for you, man. Like, it's like that time that Shane got knocked the fuck out at Survivor Series, and Orton's like, I'm going to go out of the ring and go talk to his kid and let him know he's all right.
Yes.
Sometimes you just got to stop what you're doing and be real for a moment, because in a wrestling match, it's a dance, man. You need both people for the dance, unless you're just going to go out there by yourself. You know what I mean? So that was a very, very scary moment, but props to Will Hobbs. And props just because you're a beast, man. That dude, he's got me intrigued.
He looks great. Seidel, though, what I was originally saying was his Tron said SSP. And I'm like,
and you said you know what that means.
Yeah, because he's known for having a really good shooting star press. So, man, yeah. You can't make shit like that up. So that was hilarious.
It's like, I need to stop watching people do that move, man. I mean, Brock Lesnar, him, Seidel. I've seen Paul London clip the ropes really bad.
Hasn't
Kidman?
Who else? Oh my God, with the Hardy Boys, Lita.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's scary to watch. The worst thing I've ever watched out of Lita was when she dove out the rope and landed on basically where would be like your Adam's apple, or like, well, for a man, like she landed like on that, and her legs were over her head, like her feet were like almost flat to the ground, like she was like an upside down pretzel, and I was like, she dead.
Yeah.
Finished the match. Her and Trish, man. That's when they main evented Raw.
Yeah. There's a couple other notes because we should get to the where this match went. Some hilarious. Ross and Shivani were in rare form. The beginning of the match, who the hell was it? Trent hit a tope, and Jim Ross goes, "Yeah, I was waiting for that." And then Shivani chimes in and goes, "Won't be the last one of those that we see."
I heard the same thing, and I go, "Yo, are you guys just phoning it in tonight and saying fuck it?"
That I loved it. I'm like, did they just go there? Oh my God,
I loved it, and I was like, hopefully it's cranked in the back and you guys are listening to that, because I agree. And then it's funny because like every match after that had at least one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good for them. Speaking of, quick side note, there is a YouTube video I found where Taz and who else does commentary? Luchasaurus. Him and Luchasaurus were doing commentary on Dark. And it was the Gun Club, which is Billy Gunn and his son. First of all, I realize it's weird. I think it's really weird that they can't say Billy Gunn.
Yeah, it's
in
stupid.
AEW. It's like the Cody Rhodes thing. How childish are we getting? But during the Gun Club match or whatever, he goes, I'm pretty sure it was Excalibur.
It was Excalibur, yes.
Did I say Luchasaurus a minute ago?
Yeah, it was
that's
Excalibur.
So weird.
And,
It's the mask. But anyway, Excalibur started fucking with Taz and ribbed him on the air. And he was like, he actually got his start by holding gum. And he was like, what? He goes, yeah, in the corner. Like, that's what he would do. People would give him the gum before the match, and he would hold it. And he goes, that was a rib, wasn't it? He goes, yeah, that was a rib. And it was like, I love that they're just having fun on the air like this. So the fact that Shivani's like, well, bet that won't be the last one we see tonight. Good for you guys.
It was fucking
You actually
hilarious.
got me listening to you.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It actually sounds like three old senile guys just bitching now, and I love it.
No, and they're spot on, too. And Jim Ross said, well, I was waiting for that. So we like to give names to wrestlers, and I know we both love Darby Allin, but I think moving forward, we're just going to call him Turtles. Because he looks like I like turtles. He looks just like that
I like
kid.
turtles. It's not even turtles. I like turtles. Oh my God, I'm going to have to give him that bumper spot.
Turtles.
He does, but man, come on, dude. I know you want to be a death-defying kind of Jeff Hardy kind of guy, but don't ever let someone zip you up into a freaking bag. I don't care if the attacks are real or not, and throw you where you cannot protect your body on that fall.
You're falling as you're falling. That's it. With thumbtacks in there, no less.
Yeah.
So that was smart.
That was ridiculous.
At one point, fireworks just started going off. Apparently, there's a baseball stadium near Daly's place, so the fireworks going off. And Shivani goes,
I'm so glad you just reminded me of that.
And Shivani goes, yeah, it is Memorial Day weekend. We got the wrong holiday, bro, but
come on, man. I do that too. I just did that the other day. Every Memorial and Labor Day, I screw them up.
But that's all I got, man.
And of course, Lance Archer won. it looked like Eddie Kingston was about to win it
Yeah.
because of the help with Jake the Snake and all that stuff getting in there. But there was someone else who was in the match just prior to that.
Seidel
was eliminated.
Seidel was.
It was Seidel. I go, wow, I think it's actually going to come down to them. But then I was okay with Lance Archer being in the end. Finally, I wrote it in my notes. Finally,
Yes.
a push for Lance Archer.
And we
Good
get
stuff.
And we get a rematch of the New Japan match that fell kind of flat.
The U.S. title match that happened of.
Was it
It was
Dominion?
like night one, or no? I think it was like night one
It
of
was Wrestle Kingdom.
Wrestle
Yes,
Kingdom.
It was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
So no, that's very, very interesting to see that he won, especially that he popped out at the end of the MJF Moxie match. We saw him there in the crowd. I'm like, okay, good, getting into it. Let's go, get it going, because like I said, I'm wanting Omega now, because now it's not just two face guys going at it. It's a heel Omega, and that can be different stuff. I think that's pretty much all I got for the Battle Royal.
Yep.
That was it. But now let's talk about Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara.
This is
the entire storyline that has been blurring lines in my eyes since day one. Matt Hardy took a pretty bad fall. First, I was like, wait, we're in a Stampede match? What the hell is going on here, man? I'm like, because they're in the stadium. I didn't expect it to start there. And then he chases him with the cart. They do a nice spot where he runs into something, and then as soon as they go up on the forklift or whatever that brought him up, they go right through that table, the merch table it's below, and Hardy appears to hit his head on the ground. Did he hit his head as bad as it's been made to see? Because it's really tough to see if his head hit the concrete, or did he tuck?
It looks like it hit from what I saw when I rewatched it. Yeah, looks like it hit.
But when he stands up, well, first, Aubrey Edwards throws up that dreadful X, something no one ever wants to see. And I was like, oh, that sucks. This match is done. Hopefully he's all right. Then all of a sudden the match got restarted, and Hardy was saying, where is he? And actually, even before that, before the match was called off, Hardy tried standing up and walking and tumbled a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Can't tell how real it was, man. Hardy's good. He likes to blur the lines between a work and a shoot. And the problem is, I can't tell with his fucking wife with the same thing, because she blew up on Twitter saying, how dare AEW let them continue, knowing he's concussed. Fair? Your husband said, I'm good. He said multiple times, I'm good, I'm good. The doctor said he passed protocol to move on and continue. You really think about it, Hardy didn't take any more bumps after that. He did a DDT to Sammy on the concrete floor when he first finally saw him again. And then I think that was it. Then they both climbed the thing, pushed him off, end of it. That was the end of the match. I don't think Hardy ever took any more bumps. I think Hardy was like, hey, can we just go home? I just wanted to let you go through that spot so I have a definitive win and my career's not over.
That's what it appeared to me. It appeared they went right to the finish, made it fall flat. Honestly, if that's how the match ended anyway, I wouldn't have been too impressed. But there's a couple...
I bet you it could have been. I bet you would have been like a twist of fate off of there.
Fair enough.
Or something like that. There's no way it would have just been that only.
A push, right?
But then Guevara looked hurt, because he was holding his shoulder a lot. It looked like he got hurt a little bit, but I think he's fine. I mean, I think it just knocks the wind out of you from that height anyway.
Yeah, it could be. It's hard, right? We'll start with the tweets, because Tony Khan put out a tweet saying, hey, he went to the hospital, he had his MRIs and his CT scan, he doesn't have a concussion, and he's heading home. And Rebby, meanwhile, is tweeting, he 1,000% has a concussion. They're giving him a second round of tests. So it's hard, right? Because, I mean, he's been going back to the unkillable Matt Hardy thing, and now this happens after the chair shot. It's hard, man. It is hard. I will say that after he went down, it looked like he was out cold. Like, and they delayed the 10 count. And then him getting up and stumbling and the look in his eyes. Man,
but he's good, and I'm not trying to just go, he's fucking with us. I'm not discounting his being hurt. I'm really not. I'm saying that I can't tell. It's Matt Hardy. He's good at his job.
He is. The only thing that I can say is it was horrible. And I guess props if this is a work, but it took me out of the rest of the pay-per-view.
I want you, well, especially because how many times they kept mentioning it.
He just, the hardest part was after he got to his feet, him stumbling, like Sammy was pulling him around like dead weight there for a second. Honestly, man, I would have been quite content with them just cutting back to commentary and saying,
shit happens.
We don't know the decision on this match. We'll keep you updated. I would have been perfectly fine.
I mean, a draw would have been absolutely fine. No one has to leave.
Yep. Exactly.
It's if you lose.
Right.
But let me ask you this question. You don't find it just a touch coincidental? Think about this. I don't know how many weeks they've been going at it, but let's just say week 1.
Mm.
Hardy takes a really nasty chair shot to the head with a chair that apparently wasn't a gimmick chair.
Well, he also shot it out like a rocket launcher.
Sure, but it's not the first chair that's been thrown at his head like a rocket launcher either.
Sure.
Second, Guevara gets his stitches. But now here, Hardy gets hurt again. So, we are left with a couple of different scenarios that we should think about. It's a work, or Guevara is deadly in the ring or not trustworthy. Maybe he pushed too hard and hit Hardy to go off that thing. Because I'm saying, like, 2 in the same storyline of hurting the same guy. If that is real hurt, and both of those are real and none of this has been a work, then you're not safe.
Nia Jax syndrome.
Thank you. Pretty soon at the beginning of our promo, I'm going to have to say, fuck Sammy Guevara. Dude, there's another great YouTube video of him. As you know, they like to have him do his cue cards when they're on commercial break.
Yeah.
Especially if you're watching on like the TNT app or something like that.
Right. You
don't get commercials. You get that stuff there. And you hear the cameraman go, 15 seconds, and he starts flying through his cards really quick.
Right.
And he goes, I'm sorry, it's a minute and 15 seconds. And then Sammy's like, shit, I guess I'll pick up some other cards again. and had to start it over again. I was like, you hear the cameraman talking to him, but Sammy has his head down looking at the things. He goes, yo, you said 15 seconds. It's really funny. I was like, it's real. Anyway, I don't know, man. The whole it was very iffy. It's funny you're saying it took you out of the pay-per-view. Sheeta and Thunder Rosa brought me back into the pay-per-view. I don't know about you, man. I thought it was a tremendous match, and I thought we were going to be seeing a brand new women's champion that I could really cling to. Sheeta did defeat Thunder Rosa. Is this the start of new beginnings for NWA and AEW? Let's just test one match on your pay-per-view, man. Billy Corgan was all about it. He was heavily promoted in the beginning of that promo about it. I think this is a sign of good things to come. Could we be seeing Nick Aldis versus one of the whoever's world champion in AEW? Just saying.
Yeah, we've talked about doing cross-promotional stuff with AEW, and I think it's only going to help them, especially with their women's division. Start bringing other people. It's unfortunate that they let B. Priestley go because we never really got the full potential with that. Was really is a great worker, one of the big gaijins over in Japan.
Yep.
Along with Jamie Hayter, actually. I think they tag a lot. We saw a little bit
about
of Jamie
Hayter.
Yeah. But this match was great. Very technical. Sheeta was doing the stretch muffler a couple times, which was cool to see.
Yep.
The chair spot where Sheeta likes to do the running knee, jumping knee off the chair. Rosa took advantage of that and kind of stole it from her. I
really liked it when she grabbed the chair And for another awesome part for the announcers, Tony Schiavone goes, this isn't and he went to say, like, it's not a no disqualification match, and then she opens the chair and puts it down. He goes, oh. I was like, dude, that was the best real, like, I guess, transition you could have done. Like, thank you. Don't just be like, don't even finish your statement. I hope she's not going to use it, as you're clearly seeing she's laying it down, because that's something like a Michael Cole thing would do. I hope she's not planning on using that chair all the way. When it's already sitting down and she's running at the chair, and he's like, oh, good for you, Tony.
Exactly, because that makes it more real, right? As opposed to Michael Cole just hamming it up, even though you know damn well that that's not what's going to happen. So
right.
Yeah, no, it was a good match. I'm glad.
Nah, man, not a good match.
It was a great match.
Absolutely AEW's very best women's match
hands
ever.
Down.
Now it's kind of we're talking a year and some change or whatever, but doesn't matter. It took us that time to get here, but that was I moved to move the entire match. I didn't hit skip once. All of it. I was disappointed when Thunder Rosa lost, but I said, no, but how invested was I in the match that I was disappointed? I can't remember any AEW women's match where I've actually been disappointed or anything. But, man, let me ask you, how do you think it feels, though, when you're watching that match and you're Nyla Rose just sitting by the ringside all night watching, or you know what I mean? I'm like, how do you feel? Like, I would hate to be that person. I'd be like, I'm not sitting at ringside. I don't give a shit what pandemic is going on. Joey Janela can sit by ringside. I'm not sitting by ringside.
Right. Yeah, it just speaks again to their women's division, or lack thereof. So at least we got a good match.
And Vicky Guerrero sitting by ringside, too.
Yeah.
And she looks good for her.
Yeah. Did you hear? Well, so going into the next match, JR had another little foible on commentary. So we're talking about Dustin Rhodes.
The 8-man tag, right?
The 8-man tag. Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, Scorpio Sky, Matt Cardona versus Brody Lee in the Dark Order.
Cool. Question before we get into that. I knew everybody on that stage. Who's the blonde? Who is the blonde that was with the Nightmare family? Is that QT's wife?
No. That's the bunny. She was the bunny. That's actually Blade's girlfriend.
Wait, that's
wife.
Bunny?
Yeah. What the hell is her name? Yeah. Supposedly she's dating QT Marshall, and Brandy doesn't like it because you got to give Brandy a reason to be on TV.
Has this been going on Dynamite, or
for
has this
weeks,
been like on
maybe
Dark
even
and
like
stuff?
a month or two? Yeah.
I may have been skipping through some stuff,
Yeah,
man.
right. Well, they're not. They're also
really
not
was.
getting a lot of too much screen time.
It's also just tough to watch stuff during the pandemic. Really, at the same time, it's just I can't get on board with non-screaming fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just not...
I can't remember her name, but anyway, yeah. So that's who that is.
But that's okay. Thank you. I was just wondering who she was, and I was like,
Yo. And she's been tagging,
like,
and she's been tagging with Brandy. And the whole idea is she's just trying to get the spotlight for herself, tags herself in all the time when Brandy's in there. Pretty weak, nothing to really care about, but yeah.
Look, I'm not trying to, in 2020, we are trying to be a progressive people podcast. But I have to say something. Brandy is fucking hot. Like, I know that's not really progressive, and I'm exploiting what she looks like, but Cody is a lucky bastard. Like, but she could talk. She has personality. She's awesome, dude. She's cool. I actually really dig her.
Yeah, I wish she didn't have the Stephanie McMahon syndrome, but that's fine.
What's that?
Forcing herself on a TV all the time. I really don't see. I think she'd be better off behind the scenes or just coming out every once in a while, but she's got to.
That is, I actually just like her being in Cody's corner as a Nightmare Family. I don't think she needs to be a wrestler or on screen.
Well, that's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. So Anna Jay of the Dark Order at one point got involved with the match, and Brandy kicked her, booted her. They rolled out of the ring, and at that point, JR says, "Did Anna Jay just have a wardrobe malfunction, or is that just wishful thinking?"
Oh, that I did hear him say that, and I was like, "Yo, that was a really old man thing to say." Yo, that's
keep it in your pants, bro.
Right? Yeah. Oh, it was just wishful thinking. Speaking of not being 2020 progressive,
exactly. I was a dynamite lead in Monty.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
But let's listen. The match.
So wait, I want to get back to this. The bunny. I actually just decided to do this for you.
Thanks.
Her name is She's better known as Allie.
Allie, that's it.
Yeah, okay. That's who it is. And yeah, I'm taking a look at a picture. I'm like, maybe that's why she looked familiar to me. I knew the lower half of the face, not the upper half, because she used to wear the bunny mask. Okay,
the
cool.
bunny mask, yep.
Thank you for, this is why we have these conversations weekly.
That's what I'm here for. Welcome to the show, Professor Corbin.
Oh, man, Dick. Let me ask you, how into the 8-man tag were you?
Not that much. I like what they're doing with Colt Cabana and the Dark Order. Brody, listen, Brody's getting better, especially since he won the title. I'd like him to see it get away from the Dark Order. I was hoping he'd kind of salvage it. I certainly am more invested now that he's there. But
I'm kind of in it.
Yeah.
You know why? Think that the moment at the very end of the match, the moments where Brody's losing his shit, but Evil Uno is the beaten down friend that gets it. And he came over and put his arm around you. And he's like, hey, I get it, buddy. I'm like,
he does it to me too.
I was like, why am I intrigued into this? This is actually good. The match itself, I thought was really good. Dustin still proving. I mean, and we'll even skip forward, right, to say like he's getting the TNT title shot tonight. And for good reason, man. Look how he could go. He was just as good as Scorpio and Cardona. Cardona looked fucking great. Good to see him getting out shining. I actually think for an 8-man tag, I was really putting myself in the shoes. Remember last week we talked about Los Boricuas and Disciples of Apocalypse. I can't remember last time an 8-man tag was actually on a pay-per-view, and I was like, I'm going to watch this match because Brody's in it. I'm always a fan of Colt Cabana. Love Scorpio Sky. Always been a fan of Dustin Rose. So I was invested in the match.
It was a solid match. Yeah, it really was. Evil Uno had a great a tweet after it says Dark Order is fine. And then the one after that, it said Evil Uno cares. So yeah, it was.
Oh my God! I just figured it out. The new twist. Dark Order disbands by Brody Lee realizing all these people that are with him, they're shit.
Yeah,
they're minions. They're nothing, and he leaves them. And the Dark Order will then be headed by Evil Uno, and it'll be the Light Order or something where they're going to be a happy group. Like him saying, like, Evil Uno cares. You mark my words, because I was right about Drave Maverick. I was right about Kenny Omega. I am definitely going to be right. This is going to be a happy group. It's going to almost look like the Oddities by the time it's done.
Oh, dear Lord, no. Oh, man. Well, the one good thing that I did like about this match was the post-match promo with Dustin, where he finds out he's going to get a shot at the TNT title. And,
it looked real.
Man, that promo was it. That was it. Dustin still
I hate to say that
it.
the swearing makes it in a weird way, but it did.
Sure.
He was like, and not like swear, but when he was like, God damn, really?
Yeah.
I'm getting the match? And he's like, the amount of shit, like him, just the passion that came out, I was like, that's a real promo, man. He's
great.
Anything that's not Gold Dust, I'm okay with Gold Dust, but I'm a natural Dustin Rose fan, especially ever since he got over to AEW. I'm a fan of Blue. For some reason, the Blue looked
I know,
good. I was
right?
like, that's
it did. I liked it. I was
cool.
like, all right, switching it up a little bit. All right. Well, hey, Dustin Rhodes is what you would call a top guy.
Top guys.
But talking about top guys, we got new top guys.
Thank God.
FTR and Omega and Page for the tag titles. And you talked about it earlier. You talked about how Hangman Page kind of came back around and he was starting to get more invested and he was willing to be there. This match told a goddamn story start to finish. Page was there for Omega every step of the way,
saving him if he could.
This match, every step of the way. Checked on him any chance he could, had his back. He's the one that ends up eating the V-trigger. And FTR are the new champs. I think my favorite.
And then you hear Omega walking away going, after everything I've done for him, and I'm like, you saved your ass throughout the whole match.
The whole match.
Said the whole thing was very compelling. And the announcers Good job to you guys because you kept talking about it too. They're like, he's showing he's here, he's invested, he's in it. And they said, they're like, maybe he's acted like he hasn't cared. But when it comes tag team title match time, he shows he cares every time. I'm like, it's true. Not a bad tag match out of him every time. And this is a really good match. I personally, with the storytelling and the fact that it is one's a very, very heel team. Yes, the other one is your falling apart semi-face team. I think this was better than Young Bucks versus Omega and Page because of the story, not just because FTR won, but because it was heel people doing heel shit. The ropes, the switching guys and everything. They were doing heel stuff in a tag team world. It was a good match, man. I really was very happy that FTR won. Kind of going backwards just for half a second into that Battle Royal. I thought Shawn Spears had a chance of winning the Battle Royal when he went over commentary and hung around for a minute. I was like, this could be good. And I'm like, ooh, wait, he wins this. FTR, if they win the titles later, that could be big. I like where that stable's going. It's going places already. And with adding the tag titles is the exact starter you want.
Well, and it's funny, too, because when FTR, even in WWE as the Revival, when they would come in, they'd kind of hang over the ropes and throw up the deuce, right?
Yep.
Now that they got Tully, they're actually throwing up the shocker, which is kind of disturbing. But
yeah.
But anyway, so you've got to figure that's going to turn into a 4 at some point.
Or it's just going to be the shocker.
Yeah, or it's just going to be the shocker, but
it's going to be just butt stuff.
Oh, dear God. Okay. Technical difficulty drop. So there was the one part at the end. It was after, you had mentioned Omega at the table, which was great because, we were expecting it. So it wasn't that, the bigger shock was that he didn't use it. But Paige,
I know what you're talking
Paige
about.
finally gets to his feet and stumbles towards Kenny. And again, this is the storytelling, right? This whole time.
Catch
Paige,
me.
Yup. Paige has been there for Kenny, and now all he wants is for Kenny to be there for him. And Kenny just sidesteps him, and Paige falls flat on his face. Fucking great. That's storytelling.
Awesome.
It was great.
It kind of reminded me of the time that Paige dropped during Dominion in the 60-minute draw versus Okada when he was out of
the Rainmaker.
Out of gas, and he just went down. I'm like, in the way Paige just dropped, it looked the same way, and I'm like, and Omega, you've been there, right? Like just like you said, and how you've been there for Paige, and awesome storytelling. Everything was awesome, man. It was that's how you progress the storyline. That was good. And now we're going to end up seeing Omega Page.
Well, so on BTE a couple weeks ago, the end of the episode ended with Kenny wearing the sunglasses.
Oh,
okay. And then when he was walking back with the Bucks on the way to his car, he says, you know what? It's time for a clean sweep.
I did hear that.
And I was like,
I caught that.
Okay, well, here we go. We're going to get the cleaner back. So good. That's what I want. I don't want happy-go-lucky, dad at the mall, cargo shorts and sneakers.
What if he said it's time for a clean sweep? They didn't get in the car. What if he sweeps out the Bucks? Not necessarily saying that he would go over to Tully, but I'm just saying, what if he was like, hey, I need to align with the right guys. My guys I can't trust. You guys beat me. I got you. That's cool. That's fair. And he joins in with them.
What if Pac comes back and it's Omega and Pac?
Oh. Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh. See, there's a lot of possibilities of a heel Omega.
That's good, though. That's good. And it's good not to overthink it because let's see what happens.
I didn't know what to expect in the next match. I really, really swear to God, as much as I remember just saying it was going to be sticky, I really just didn't know what to expect between Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. This match was boring.
It was boring.
It was just
and the ending was
punching.
Flat.
Yeah,
it was flat because he did the orange Superman punch or whatever the fuck they call it, right. And Jericho's doing the I'm hanging on, and then they just did another one and he fell in. Like that was flat.
You know what bothered me is when he punched him and he was dangling there. One of the announcers go, I don't know who it was. They go, that's one, and I go, okay, so thanks for letting me know that he's coming back for a second punch, Dick. I'm like, I would have much rather just seen him do it. What if he speared him? I don't know. I don't know what was going to happen, man.
You know what would have been better is on his way to hit the second one, Jericho just fell. That would have been hilarious.
It was what it was. I think there could have been. I had some awesome ideas on how it really could have ended. Is the entire inner circle coming out and like trying to drown Orange Cassidy in there, right?
Okay.
After the match is over.
Right,
He takes the Judas effect pin, it's over, they roll him in there. He stands up, and in his pocket, he had a straw. And you see him drinking it, but there's a release valve at the bottom of that pool, and it's going down somewhere, but it looks like he's drinking it all. I was like, that would have had me. That's like, if you want to do this hokey mimosa match,
right,
then do something fun, because all it was just a lot of stupid teasing to things that you knew they weren't going in. I'm like, if you both want to go in off a suplex and call it a draw, I'm good with it, but it's not going to happen, so quit teasing it. I really wish. It's kind of like, what was it, Beer Fest, when he tried drinking all the beer inside to try and save himself. That's what I'm talking about. That would have been an awesome moment. That's it.
That's all I got to say about that.
And then we already talked about it. We really don't need to dive too much into it. Moxley did defeat MJF. Good match. And we got some crimson blood, man. I mean, like blood of old. Like it wasn't like just kind of a little watery. Yeah. Like, I have an honest question. Do you know if they're like, hey, man, you're juicing tonight? They're like, cool, I'm going to go take like 10 aspirin. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of blood thinners?
I don't think so. I think that part of the head bleeds pretty naturally on its own.
Should we test it sometime for the show?
No, I think I'm good with that. I think I'm good.
We'll flip the nail file.
Right. I'll rig it so it comes out in my favor. Did you see the fan go after Moxley when he was walking?
Yeah, that was awesome.
And it was great that Moxley started walking.
See him.
Yeah, Moxley started walking over towards him and was like, yeah, okay.
That was pretty funny because
they grabbed that dude pretty quick.
Yeah. And oversaw his fan. Nice, JR. Way to call it out, too. I'm like, because in WWE, they're like, he doesn't exist. That never happened. No one saw it.
Right?
Like, it's like Family Guy with the prostitute. If you stand still, she doesn't see you. Where'd you go? All of a sudden, WWE just thinks that it didn't happen. Like when they blur out the one in Eddie Guerrero and RVD in the ladder match, and the fan knocks Guerrero off of the ladder.
Oh.
The ladder's standing, and then the ladder's not, and the guys are just on the ground and stuff, and that's it. I'm like, really? It happened.
What about when Hogan turned heel? That guy, fucking Nash, knocked the shit out of that guy, and then Ramon stopped it, or Hall.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love when the refs back in WCW, they were ready.
Oh, yeah.
Because fans try jumping all the time, man, and Pee Wee Anderson would knock someone out, or Nick Patrick. The time that Raven got his hair pulled through the backside of the ropes when he was sitting in the corner and a fan pulled him through. I mean, it's scary stuff. It's funny because, little quick side story, I went to WrestleMania 25. I just kept fucking with my buddy that I was there with, and I was like, how expensive could bail really be if I jump in the ring tonight at WrestleMania? And he's like, bro, I swear to God, do not do it. And I'm like, no, but for real, like, well, yeah, but I was like, but I'm going to pay you back, man. And like, I just kept hinting at it. Let me say this. No way in hell would I do it, because the prime example, watch Triple H. When someone jumped in the ring one time and someone pulled him in, or the guy tried grabbing at Triple H. Triple H slammed him down like it was a wrestling tackling dummy that you use in school, and just beat the crap out of this dude like he owed him money. Awesome stuff. So, no, I wouldn't jump in the ring, but I kept teasing it at WrestleMania 25 with my buddy.
It was just, I think the match was great. So you mentioned Moxley's promo before about how, you're going to find out that you're not ready. Yep. He said at some point during the match, he was standing on the apron, and he's like, you're good, kid, but it's just not your time. Fucking great. Yep. Fucking great.
It was good.
He puts, MJF puts him in.
I forgot how much I actually like Moxley. I was bitching about him last episode, and then as I watched this match, I go, oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. It's the guy that got me invested with the Full Gear match with Kenny Omega and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I'm back. Okay, all right.
Right. How quick we forget, right? MJF puts a headlock on right away and says, "Sorry, folks, tonight you're gonna get wrestling."
That was awesome.
So great.
Well, and it was also a nod because the announcer said that, like, when anything goes to the floor, it's Moxley's game. You stay in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
Might not be. I like that.
Yep, they pushed
Can
that.
we also talk about, because he had a match against Hager and Brian Cage, but can we talk about the fact that when Jake Hager came out for the Battle Royal, the Titantron just kept saying Chris Jericho the whole time? I'm like, every time they panned out, it was probably saying every name of Inner Circle, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But every time it panned out, it just said Jericho, and I was like,
That's
bro,
awesome.
They don't even care.
Yeah.
They don't even care about you, man.
It's easy not to. The ending of the
All
match
right.
I thought was great. I think ultimately when we saw Archer winning, we knew Moxley was going to retain. And I think it was pretty obvious.
No, that's very true. I guess I wasn't really looking that far ahead. I was just more of like they gave him the shot.
Right. But the ending.
But you're right.
The ending to this match was perfect. I think it was
Well
great.
played out.
It was comeuppance for the heel. Right, he throws the ring in. MJF misses it. Ref's back is turned. He's face to face with Moxley. Moxley says, "Well, fuck it." Hits the paradigm shift and 1, 2, 3 retains.
How many times did you actually think it was going to be a 3 count in some of those near falls at the very end where MJF looked like he possibly had the win?
A couple of them got me. Just because
One of them I was like, oh, shit, I thought that was it. Like, I really thought it was almost over.
And then Moxley bit MJF's face and reopened
that wound. Yep.
It was great.
That's gross.
Yeah, that
there's
was
a
pretty
pandemic
gross.
going on right now,
But
man.
Yes. This is mostly respiratory, so it'd be fine.
But
But
it's kind of like when Tyson Fury licked that dude in the boxing match.
yeah,
And we're like, bro, it's cold season.
MJF tweeted something. I think it was something along the lines. You know what? Fuck Wardlow too. Or something
really?
like that. Yeah, it was.
Well, good. It's time to move that along and get maybe have some different minions, and we can now see a different Wardlow.
But I guess my question is, where do we go from there? What do we do with Wardlow? Because here's the tweet right here. Fuck Wardlow. My bad. Not like I was in a brutal war or anything. Actually, fuck all of you. And then another.
I love the bitterness. He is just like really like, all right, like either he really, really is a prick, or he's really like, all right, if I was a bad guy, what would I really be upset about? Well, my guy screwed me over. No one's on my side. Fuck them all. Good for you, dude. Like, that's awesome. Great tweet.
And then another one, I think it was like right after the pay-per-view, was fucking Wardlow. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like that's where we're going to go now. So, I mean, I guess that's good. Does that mean Wardlow's
Hey, it's
perfect
perfect shift.
Or...
Yep. Yeah. And we'll see, him versus MJF versus Wardlow for a little bit. I'm okay with that.
Yep. So, yeah.
Good shit. Well, hey, speaking of good shit.
Call me Nightmare.
This is such good shit.
So we got an extremely awesome treat today because it's going to be the first time ever that he is gracing us with his presence. Now, not only did he grace us with a little bit of his vocal presence during Promo Wars, talk a little bit of shit, but we're letting it slide because now he is the one that brings us each and every week some really good shit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Nightwing Analyst.
So basically, everybody back in 2013 to 2015 was waiting for that big John Cena heel turn, and we were just like, why are they going to do it? Why are they going to just, they did the retro shows. They need to pull that trigger and go back and give me that Dr. Thugonomics heel character. We were waiting for it. We were all primed for it. We were like, it's going to happen in this pay-per-view. It's going to happen in this pay-per-view. But you know what? During this coronavirus thing, Roman Reigns did the smart thing, and he took the time off because he had some pre-existing conditions to make sure that he was okay for himself, his newborn twins, and the rest of his family. He decided that he was going to be a heel, and they did the right thing with giving him a mouthpiece. They gave him the Paul Heyman, and when they gave him the Paul Heyman as a mouthpiece, we all knew that it was the best thing to him because we know, please God, never give us a suffering succotash promo ever again.
All right. was a lot more to that conversation that we had, but with technical difficulties, Jesus,
We've got a bumper for that.
All right, hey guys, we're back after the
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. If you didn't know, we had technical. Jesus Christ, we had technical.
Ladies and gentlemen, we at the Top of Wrestling would like to apologize for the unexpected interruption. We are experiencing technical difficulties and expect to return to our normally scheduled podcast momentarily.
You guys like sports? Yeah. I hate sports. I'm a professional wrestling fan. Because sports, real sports, they don't have enough imagination. And like my friends, they won't accept that about me. They're like, yo man, dude, you gotta watch LeBron. He's changing the game as we know it. Like, I'll watch LeBron when he takes off his jersey mid-game, reveals he's on the other team, scores on his own basket, takes a folding chair from the sideline, knocks out the referee, and he's wearing a snake around his neck for no reason. My friends are like, yeah, you gotta join a fantasy league. I was like, yo, I got fantasy covered. Okay, I'm gonna go watch a barber dance fight a Native American. And my friends, they're like, yeah, but it's scripted, man. You know who's gonna win. I was like, yeah, I know who was gonna win the NBA Finals. It was gonna be the Warriors or the Cavs. You guys know who won the championship title at WrestleMania 31? A guy not in the match. Can you imagine if Pacquiao versus Mayweather, De La Hoya won? Be amazing. Man, yeah, man, if Pacquiao versus Mayweather, freaking Winnipeg Jets win? That's professional wrestling. I'm worked up again. I think about when I was a kid, when I was really, really into professional wrestling. All the wrestlers, like, were based on typical male professions of the day, right? There was, like, teachers, garbage men, undertakers. But as we move into this tech age and I look at the jobs that my friends have, I don't think any of them would work for professional wrestling names. Like, I don't think you could have, coming down to the ring, fantastic freelance web designer Tony.
O.D.M, talk about what's going on right now, brother.
We had a little duo session with Nightwing Analyst, myself, and Professor Corbin, and we had some audio technical difficulties that prevented us from playing the entire clip. There were also many chicken nuggets consumed, which also added to the difficulties in transmission.
Chicken nuggets
of
high
said piece.
as a kite, and I just check you out. So, yes, there was more to the conversation. We will make it a little bit better for next time. We'll have a little bit more from him. But now,
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for...
Best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Hold 2, arm bar.
Sodas rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold 3, the moss covered, 3-handle family gradunzel.
It's me, Austin!
Just when they think they ain't got the answers, I change the questions.
I did it for The Rock.
This week's top topic.
You know something, Mean Gene? John Cena! Wrestling's not fake!
The Rolex wearing one, diamond ring wearing one, kid stealing, woo, wheeling dealing one, limousine right one, jet flying one, son of a gun, woo.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
If you smell.
The following ranking order and final decisions are a completely bias-based order, based off The Professor and O.D.M. made it. And as always, they like to let you know they have not worked in the business, but have been lifelong invested fans much like you, our listeners. With not only their opinions involved, but with countless amount of hours of research done each week, they make sure to provide proper facts and history to back it up. However, they do know that your opinion may vary from theirs. If there is anything you want to chat about, bring to their attention. If there is something they missed or forgot, or you just want to let them know they are out of their freaking minds, feel free to shoot them a message on Facebook or Twitter, or email them at thetopofwrestling@gmail.com. As always, they do appreciate all feedback and continued support. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that you do see the best of the best before you die. And now, this week's top topic.
that's right. Top topic. Top of Wrestling Podcast. I'm a top professor. He's a top of ODM. Nothing can be on top of us when we're talking about our favorite title. It's both of our favorite title. I think we agree upon that because all of our favorite wrestlers held it, so we were like, that's got to be the one. And I think not just ODM and myself, I'm talking about pretty much everybody. Everybody used to love that Intercontinental Championship. And there was a time when that thing mattered. And, I already hinted towards it earlier about the workhorses. And we're going to go through and talk about different eras of guys holding it. But, there's times where a lot of us think it all dropped off the face of the planet. And then I'm looking through the list and I see, CM Punk won it in 2008. And I remember popping on TV watching it at Raw, watching that one. I'm like, that was a big one. So, there's moments. But was it a moment or was it momentum with a title? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about it. Let's dive in. You did a lot of research. Would you like to kick things off, brother?
Yeah, man. I think a lot of what you said is accurate. It's hard to argue with that. The workhorse title, I think that really solidifies your position in the company when you hold that title, or at least it did at a certain time. But it's hilarious when you talk about how the championship came to be, because talk about WWF booking. It came out. It was established September 1st, 1979, after Pat Patterson unified the WWF North American Heavyweight and South American Heavyweight Championship in a tourney in Rio de Janeiro. But the tournament and the South American Championship were completely fictional.
Interesting.
Very
interesting.
So again, you want to talk about WWF booking? It starts with the IC title, but yeah, just some. I'll just blow through some factoids. There's been.
I got to say something.
Oh, go for it.
Got to toss into this one. Speaking of Pat Patterson being the first Intercontinental Champion, if you were fortunate enough to watch some of those StarCast events that they had for Double or Nothing, I think was one of the first ones, or maybe even All In. There was the roast of Bruce Pritchard, and on there you have all different guys on stage. You had Brutus Beefcake, you had Medusa, and you had, to me this was a personal favorite of mine, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe. Not that they're a personal favorite, the joke. I don't remember who it was. They had a couple of comedians that were there as well,
right,
who were excellent. Like, they knew how to really, because they were wrestling fans as well, so they made some really good deep jokes. One of the best ones, because if you've ever heard Pat Patterson talk, they go, how the fuck did they give the Intercontinental title to a man who can't pronounce Intercontinental title?
That's awesome.
And Pat laughed harder than anybody, because it's true. I think that's hysterical. They're like, all right, who can't say this word? I can't. All right, you're the new champ.
The very first one.
Just want to say I thought that was a great little side note. Please resume.
That's hilarious. Chris Jericho has the most reigns with 9, but Pedro Morales has the record total of 619 days. Honky Tonk, obviously, longest in uninterrupted reign at 454 days. We all know that Ultimate Warrior ended up taking the title off of him and went with like that weird, I think it was a yellow strap, and he might have even had like a peach-colored strap. Oh,
he had multiple colors,
yep.
And actually at one point he did have a white one too, which we would see years later.
Yep. If I'm not mistaken, Shawn Michaels also rocked the white strap as well, I believe.
He did.
You know who has the shortest reign at just 13 minutes and 52 seconds? Dean Douglas, when he got the title handed over to him when Shawn Michaels got suspended. Or
no, was that suspended, or was that when he got his ass beat by the Syracuse people?
Yes. He got his ass beat by
the Syracuse Marines.
Yep. So basically,
God, I'm still waiting for video footage to come out this date.
Right?
I forgot about that. That was an In Your House pay-per-view, and that was the absolute shortest title reign.
Yep, because he got the title, and then his match with Razor was right after, and he lost it in quick fashion. China
kept it in the click.
Yep, China, only woman to ever win the title. Youngest champ was Jeff Hardy, won it at 23. Oldest was Flair, won it at 56. Jeff Hardy still is actually our current IC title. So, and it's been vacated 10 times throughout the title's history. So, and
That's an interesting number.
We're going to be talking about that a lot, because I think a lot of that has to do with, there are vacancies that you can't avoid, right? But when you institute ones for no really good reason, you start diminishing the title, and I think that's where a lot of the problems.
The one that comes to mind is the first one that I will always remember is, of course, right after WrestleMania 6. Ultimate Warrior is your champion. Now we're going to vacate this title.
Yep.
But that's cool. We're going to have a tournament for it. Those I'm all right with.
Sure.
But you're right. Then it's the ridiculous ones. We talk about where's the rise of the Intercontinental title? Where's the fall? It's funny when you said China was the only woman champion. I'm like, maybe someone in that era. And that's not to be a dick about China or a woman winning the title. But I had already, alluded to that there's a fall, and I think we already know where it is. And let's just say it's definitely in that Attitude Era, somewhere in there. And China winning that in 99 was that era. And that's when she's feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Chris Jericho. Her and Chris Jericho were like co-holders of the Intercontinental title, I feel like, at one point, too.
Yeah, that's actually not officially recognized by WWE.
But
you know what I mean?
It happen, so I recognize
exactly.
it. Yeah. So it's funny because the most reigns, you have Chris Jericho. Miz is only one behind to tie him, and I have said it. When's the last time that title has been credible? Miz only, and first promo comes to mind: Talking Smack.
Oh, so great.
That one in him throwing the title, and you hear it clinking against that glass table, and he's like, I'm the champion. And then I cared. Him versus Ziggler for the Intercontinental title versus your career, I cared. But you didn't get me going, I can't wait to see next month's pay-per-view with this Intercontinental Championship match, too. So let's get back towards at least the beginning. Yeah, you got Pat Patterson was the original Intercontinental Champion, held it for a decent amount of time. Then all these matches, took place. A lot of them were house shows and untelevised. Funny story: if you purchase the history of the Intercontinental Championship DVD, it's a WWE exclusive DVD that it was like 15 years ago I have it, and one of the features is called The Timeline, and it shows you every pinfall.
Oh, that's awesome.
For the Intercontinental title. And I mean, I'm not talking even the DDT into the pinfall. It's like the guy's laying there and the guy just rolls over, pin. You see the pop, next one. It was really cool. These first several, it's a black screen with lettering and says, occurred at a house show. Pedro Morales beat this person. And I was like, that sucks. The first big one that everyone is going to remember is WrestleMania 3. That is the biggest title change that everyone can recall. And that was Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Highly regarded as probably one of the greatest Intercontinental title matches of all time, as well as WrestleMania matches of all time. I mean, how many wrestlers have said, I grew up watching Steamboat and Savage. Steamboat Savage. That match is inevitable that we were going to talk about it today. Just watched it not too long ago, actually right before WrestleMania. Just a good classic match. Good, it was great to see George Animal Steel. You got Miss Elizabeth, everybody in it. I love that. But now into, after that, after Savage and Steamboat, now we're going to see, again, you have Honky Tonk Man becomes the champion, and he holds on to it for quite some time until the Ultimate Warrior comes along. The first title change I remember actually personally as a kid was WrestleMania 5, where Rick Rude had the help of Bobby the Brain Heenan holding down Warrior's foot to win the title, which loved it. Again, man, it was credible at this time. That match was very, very important.
I remember watching
it. And it made Rick Rude especially when he would come out in the tights, already had the Intercontinental Championship on the waist of it, as well as him wearing it around his waist. Something to me is just, I love that about Rick Rude. Warrior takes it back, and then, of course, again, we already talked about it. It got vacated because of the title for title WrestleMania 6 championship match, Hogan and Warrior. So what does WWE do? They hold a tournament, and they gave it to the next best person in line. If you're not going to make him a world champion, they gave it to Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig. I don't know about you, man. We're talking about the rise and fall of Intercontinental Championships, or the Intercontinental Championship. Still on the rise for me, man. It's not one thing has made me look back yet. This is awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, Perfect, like you said, is the perfect person. And you had a nice little run here when Perfect took it from the tournament after it was dropped by Warrior, because he held it for a little over 100 days and then dropped it to Texas Tornado, which that's just a tragic story. But I mean, they used that to put him over. And
you know why Texas Tornado won? Brutus Beefcake was supposed to be the one to do this. Now, if you go back to Royal Rumble 1990, WrestleMania 6, Mr. Perfect, his streak was ended by Brutus Beefcake. Curt Hennig becomes the Intercontinental Champion. Beefcake was supposed to be in that title picture, and then was the infamous boating accident.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Texas Tornado takes the spot 1 or 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, maybe even like 6 days, something like that. Texas Tornado took over. So I thought that was very interesting. I popped when Tornado won because it was kind of the same fashion as when Warrior came in and beat Honky Tonk. It was a very quick, get right to it kind of match. I loved it in and out. But my personal favorite was when, after Perfect wins that title back, he passes the workhorse torch, if you will, in Madison Square Garden 1 year later. Here he is dropping the title again at a SummerSlam. Mr. Perfect drops it to Bret Hart.
What a great match.
Anybody could tell me whatever they want about greatest Intercontinental Championship match of all time. You can say Savage Steamboat. My money goes towards this one first. This will be the very first one I would put on. The ending, of course, is my favorite. How he gets the sharpshooter on after all those leg drops right into the crotch. It was awesome. Stripping him down naked it's funny because if you read into it, that was Perfect's idea. He's like, no, take it all down, man. I want to walk out of here in my underwear. Okay. Yeah, sure. And then the Mountie gets it, but then who revenges that loss? Piper. I didn't expect that in 92.
Yeah, right.
But then it built towards Piper and Hart. Another credible title, because that is the only freaking title that Roddy Piper had held in his entire career at that point.
Yeah, damn shame.
So, but also, how important is it? And a couple other things. Piper, he's only been pinned so many times in his career. He was pinned in an Intercontinental Championship match against Bret Hart, his cousin. Then, of course, SummerSlam again. It's another time where you're going to keep dropping this title, right, every year. British Bulldog in Wembley Stadium takes it from his brother-in-law, Bret Hart.
Another great
huge
one.
Pop.
Yep.
Huge. I love watching that one. I don't even watch it for anything but the ending. Match is kind of meh because Bulldog is just Bulldog. He's not exactly the best wrestler in the world, but it's Bret, so I'll watch it.
Right.
Then we get the heel champion. Let's get another old tag team wrestler, and let's get him involved with being a singles competitor. What better way to make him a strong heel by putting the Intercontinental Championship title on him? Shawn Michaels. And soon after, he drops it to his old tag partner, Marty Jannetty. Dude, you want to talk about something that had me going Raw to Raw to Raw each week excited? It was the Intercontinental title. Because then, after Michaels gets suspended for, well, not defending the title, but we all knew it was the drugs at this point.
Yep.
We get the infamous Raw Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal, and the final two competitors are going to meet a week later. First of all, I got to say this. I didn't remember them promoting it like that the week before, so coming into that Raw that night, I was like, new champ, come on, who's it going to be? Same thing with the Iron Man match. I'm not kidding, where I was like, wait, you're going to make me wait another week, and I got to see Martel and Razor?
Yeah.
Got to be honest, I was never really a giant Martel fan, but I was actually rooting for him in this match because he just looked so damn good.
Yeah.
And against Razor, it's one of Martel's best matches, I think. I mean, in his early years in AWA against Ric Flair, awesome stuff. But this right here was one of his best. Probably his last great match. Who does Razor drop it to? Again, we got to push the younger talent. We got to push them to become our future world champions. Razor wasn't a future world champion necessarily, but that's okay. His buddy, Kevin Nash, he was. Diesel. That match took place in our hometown of Rochester, New York, and I was there. And the cool news is that I watched it happen there. It was like, I don't know, maybe something like, it was like April of 94. The match didn't air until...
end of April.
No,
April
it was 2 weeks later. Yeah, it was like 15 days later. I can even see myself in the crowd. It's cool. I love it. I'm like, because I was in like second row at that time. And that night they taped, like, no kidding, like a month's worth of Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, and all that stuff. There was a legit, I think they said, like, ahead of time, there was like 50 matches for the night. And a lot of them are quick squash matches. You know, like Ludwig Borga came out, did 2 moves, match over. Next match, and it kept going on. You had a quick little Heartbreak Hotel. We had a couple of those segments, or the kind of like King's Court, stuff like that.
Barbershop.
A couple of those, and Doink was there. You had Dink at that time. So it was fun, man, going to watch those and seeing all these things be taped in advance. Obviously, it's kind of like going to really like a TNA taping nowadays. But it was just cool because I didn't expect to see, at that point, I had been to a lot of house shows. I'm like, well, they don't change hands at a house show. That's stupid. Why would it change hands here? That's dumb. And it happens. I go, wait, what? Diesel just won this? And I'll never forget watching Diesel and Razor, Diesel and Shawn leaving in a limo out of the Blue Cross Arena, the Rochester War Memorial, from the garage area in a limo, and you see them driving. You see it right there. I'm like, I've been there. That's so cool. It was just awesome to see that. And then aired a couple weeks later. I was like, that's so, yeah, a lot of house shows. Intercontinental title changes what happened. You know, Edge won his against Jeff Jarrett at a house show. All of a sudden, he showed up at the pay-per-view. He won it the night before. I'm like, you couldn't have just put it on the pay-per-view? You guys were like, no, let's do it the night before. Weird to me. But Diesel ends up dropping it back to Razor, so he can eventually move on to become a world champion towards the end of 94, and then he can reign on as a world champ. Jeff Jarrett and Razor toss it back and forth several times until Shawn Michaels makes his return. Then we get the two dudes with attitudes. He has the Intercontinental title. Diesel has the world title, and they're trying to go for the tag titles. Then we get the shortest reign, as you talked about earlier. Dean Douglas becomes the champion because of a Syracuse Marine beat the living shit out of Shawn Michaels. Again, send the tape in to topofwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Finally, the next person to get it, though, that it was a workhorse title again, and I feel like some credibility was being brought back in after the Clique stopped tossing it around with all their buddies, was Goldust. When he became a champion, it became credible again. You're like, well, wait a second, man. This is a weird, freaky guy, and he has a credible title. I don't like that, man. Someone's got to take that off of him. And he had, some good matches with Ahmed Johnson. Of course, he was the Intercontinental Champion when he fought Roddy Piper at WrestleMania. But they knew Piper was going to go over, so there's no way they could put the title on the line. Then, Ahmed Johnson does win it. Mark Marrow, that was the first big one. That another name that it was a young guy that had a lot of steam behind him, a lot of momentum, and you thought he had the it factor. Former Johnny B. Bad from WCW. Yep. They're giving him a push. He gets to go back and forth with Hunter a little bit. Now we are stepping into 1997. The title, would you say, still credible at this point?
I think so, because you have to look at a lot of it's easy to look at these names and dismiss them and say, okay, these aren't workhorses. These are people that weren't established. I mean, Triple H was still Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and The Rock was Rocky Maivia. So at this point, definitely still credible, still important. It's a stepping stone to get to that brass ring. And yeah, I mean, Owen Hart's in this group, Ken Shamrock's in this group. So
now that's funny you say Owen, because that was his first singles title win, man, and dedicated it to his loving brother Brett. I love that. That was an awesome thing after he won that. We could do a whole Heart Foundation episode, man. But you're right. It was a reason to look at that guy and go, oh, shit, if I've been not paying attention or not been giving him enough credit, I am now. Because even Owen Hart, Rocky Maivia, I think the title killed him for some reason. I feel like people just shit on it as soon as he got the title, and people just weren't happy.
Well, because they didn't like Rocky. Die, Rocky, die. So
Die, Rocky, die, absolutely. He only held it for like 3 months before dropping it to Owen. And then you have the infamous dropping the title as well as dropping Austin on his head at SummerSlam. I got to be honest, man. Right here, it's starting to become a little bit I don't care. Why? Because your main storylines are really pulling me in. Now you have Taker versus Michaels, and it's not even for a title at Hell in a Cell. That's your main event. And then also at that, you're going to have Bret Hart taking on Vader, or you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of stuff going on. Your storylines took over the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship. Much like how the World Championship today, well, we'll get into the rise and fall of those. The World Championship today, does it mean anything to you? I mean, it's awesome to see someone win a World Championship in WWE. I'm talking WWE strictly sure. in this conversation. But when some guys win it nowadays, I'm like,
yeah, the titles.
How much did you pop when Braun won it at WrestleMania? Done.
I don't think any of the titles really hold any value anymore. Maybe in NXT they do, but on the main roster, no. There's two
NXT, I think, and AEW right now are the only ones I could actually say are very credible titles that I could pay attention to. Used to think that way for Ring of Honor, but then I don't know. I feel like after PCO and Roosh and all that, it got a little weird. I don't know why.
Yeah, but there's 2 world titles. There's 2 sets of tag belts. You know what I mean? There's 2 women's
titles.
and
Impact, that one gets me. Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
He's the Impact World Champion, but he is your heavyweight champion. Huh? So I think right here I'm starting to lose a little bit of steam with it, and I wasn't really caring. But, I was a very big fan of Rock and Triple H at SummerSlam 98. That ladder match was dope. It was a great match. And it worked because Rocky's your heel guy, and then he's going against Shamrock and all those guys, and Triple H and all of DX. But now this just becomes a freaking hot potato, okay? I am going to now say from February of 1999 to December of 99. These are your title changes. Shamrock to Val Venus to Road Dogg, Goldust, Godfather, Jeff Jarrett, Edge, Jeff Jarrett, D'Lo Brown, Jeff Jarrett, Chyna, Chris Jericho. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
a lot, man.
And a lot of those were short reigns, so this period it was a downfall. But on the other side of it
is 2000. Now you're bringing a little bit of credibility, I feel like, back, because now it's just going between Jericho, Angle, Benoit, Jericho, Angle, Benoit. Okay, Rikishi, Val Venus, and that's when Chyna gets tossed in. But we get Eddie Guerrero in there. We're starting to try to establish guys with the title. But then all of a sudden, when not a good step for me, for some weird reason, I feel like, is when the 2-man power trip came in and Triple H won it. And it's like, you've been a world champion, bud. I don't think you need that.
Pretty much.
But it gave Jeff Hardy his first Intercontinental Championship win on SmackDown in 2001. Triple H wins it back, drops it to Kane. Now listen to the list of these fucks. Albert, Lance Storm, Edge, Christian, Edge, Test, Edge. You notice I'm diminishing on the name of Edge because I'm not mad about that. William Regal, total fan of. I loved it. Then he drops it to Rob Van Dam. That was cool. I was okay with that era. Now it's Guerrero, Van Dam, Benoit, Van Dam, Jericho. Okay? Not a bad toss around, but that was all in a couple of month period. That's way too many title changes. Let me just say, we're about to talk 2002 and on, but really, at this point, no one cares.
No.
It is a prop. It is just to say that you have the name attached to you. You could bullshit everybody in the world and say, well, if I'm the Intercontinental Champion, I'm making much more money in WWE. No, you're not, dude. No, you are not, because they're not even pushing you anywhere. I mean, just hearing how many times it just goes back and forth between so many guys. I mean, Jericho, of course, how does he get his reigns? Here it is. You got Jericho, Kane, Triple H. Then it's unified with Triple H's world title, which was weird.
It was, and here's the thing. Here's where it really started to go downhill. You talked about,
that's when you say you don't care. Yeah.
It was, so when Edge won it from Test, it was a unification match where Edge defended the U.S. Championship, which came over from WCW, and they unified those two championships. Then shortly after that, you're talking maybe, so that was November of 2001. March 2002, Rob Van Dam wins it. And that's when the brand extension began. So then the title started becoming unique to just one brand. So now you've already unified it with one other title, and now you're saying it's only going to be on one show. I think right there is when it started to go downhill.
100%. Yeah. And it's funny because when you say it like that too, you unified the Intercontinental and U.S. title, and you called it the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
A year later, you created the U.S. title on SmackDown. Yep. It's like, do you think we are really just forgetting? We're not that dumb, dude. Come on.
I think that was their poor attempt to rebrand it as a actual WWF title and not a lingering WCW title.
Right. That's true, I guess, if you have to. I actually liked how the old U.S. title looked.
Me too.
I was a very, 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 very big fan of the WCW U.S. title championship.
Definitely.
Especially you want to talk about a credible title. That's like when DDP won it. That was a very, very big stepping stone for him at Starrcade 97 because it was his first singles championship, and they thought of it as a prestigious title over there. And then it's Attitude Era, man. 98, 99, everybody just didn't care about titles for some reason. And I'm going to kind of fly down the list a little bit here of when it didn't seem necessarily credible, but maybe you piqued a little bit of interest. Again, you got Jericho Van Dam. But now Orton becomes your Intercontinental Championship, and they're trying to make Orton in 2003 and 2004 with Evolution. Great way to do that. I love that they actually put the title on him. It was the perfect way to do it because it was that young, smug talent that is in your stable that you're like, he has an Intercontinental Championship, but no one else has anything. Flair's in this freaking thing. He has nothing, but this guy has one. He's got to be good. I had hope at this point in 2002, 3, 4. I still had hope for the title. I wasn't losing interest. Even though they were trying to bag it on their end, I wasn't losing interest. You got Carlito, Shelton Benjamin. That was a big one when he won it. I remember him taking it from Chris Jericho because he was inserted into the match at Taboo Tuesday. Okay, let's start to get some guys in here, make their names. But when you look at the names of the guys that have it, who was made from the Intercontinental Championship? By going down this list right here, who was made or wasn't already made?
Exactly.
It didn't make Shelton Benjamin. It didn't make Carlito.
Nope.
Flair didn't need it, but he won it anyway. Again, back to Benjamin. Van Dam didn't need it.
And Benjamin,
Johnny Nitro was a good insert. I liked that.
Sure.
Then you get Jeff Hardy, Nitro, Hardy, because Hardy made his comeback into WWE after being away with TNA. So I was cool with that because a lot of Raw title changes. They had cage matches, ladder matches. Hardy and Nitro made it at least semi-interesting to watch the title matches at that time. But then you got Umaga into Santino Marella out of the crowd.
Yeah.
That right there is when you said, guys, I just want everybody to know we permanently don't care about this anymore. It's nothing against Santino. It was, he didn't have to win a title on his first night. Let him upset Umaga, totally cool, but he did not need to have a title match and we're going to let some lucky person become a champion here tonight. That's Nicholas winning the freaking tag team titles.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston winning it was a big thing, and then, again, Santino gets it back, but William Regal brought a little bit of cred back to it in the late era in 2008, because then Punk wins it, and that was pretty big for Punk, because it was his first major title on the big brand after leaving ECW before getting the opportunity. No, actually, I take that back. He became an Intercontinental Champion after winning the world title. He actually won the world title first. But then it's just, Bradshaw, Mysterio, none of them needed it. Jericho didn't need it. Drew McIntyre was a good start. I liked it. They gave him a good 6-month reign with it. But then it was just Kingston, Ziggler, Kingston. It's the same names over and over and over. Then The Miz wins it. That was exciting because now we're in a new era when The Miz finally wins it. And I still to this date think that because of everything that's going on with Jericho permanently being in AEW, Miz is cracking, not even just touching and tying. He is going to break that record very soon, and I think within the next year, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, me too. And not only because it's really the most relevant it's been in the last at least 5 years is with The Miz having it, but he's not only close to Jericho's total reigns, he is also closing in on Morales's
days.
He's only about 20 to 30 days behind.
Again, referring to just talking smack, the never-ending tour. I love it.
Yeah.
I did like when Santino did have the title. The one thing, I am the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all the times. But like in the last, let's just look at this last year, man. Let's just really talk about it. January of 19 to now. Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, Nakamura, Strowman, Zayn, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy. Not one person needed that title, and minus Zayn.
Yeah,
Zayn's the only person I was actually happy. Yeah, and at that point we were just like, and he won it in a 3-on-1 match. Like,
Zack Ryder had it for a day.
Oh, that's true. That happened at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I have my notes here saying, Professor's take. When was the last time it was really credible? I'm going to say 98, man. That's the last time I really cared. Personally, really, really cared was 98, 99. I'd say, everybody knows I'm a Benoit, Angle, Jericho wrestling fan. So that at that time, I loved it. It was awesome to see the title go back and forth with all those guys. But then, oh my God, then it was just who didn't touch it. I mean, to quote Mick Foley at before Survivor Series of 2001 when it was WCW versus WWE, the Invasion angle, and he goes, there's a lot of championships and people saying they want this, and he goes, who the hell doesn't have a title these days? And still to that, I'm like, that's when you said right there, none of these championships mean shit.
Yep.
Let me ask you, did a look change it for you? Cosmetics. I'm going to switch this up a second. Did the cosmetic ever make you stop caring about it? Because what's funny is that I loved the version that everybody had in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden when they switched to that little small green and blue version for the Attitude Era that The Rock would carry and Shamrock and all those guys, I was like, I kind of miss the old title. Did it lose credibility with the cosmetic look of it?
The Attitude Era one didn't bother me too much. I definitely like the one prior to that.
I hate 2020's version of the Intercontinental title. Didn't need to be touched.
So when it first came out, I kind of liked it. The more I look at it, the more I hate it. Here's you wanna have a good laugh. When Cody Rhodes held the IC title in 2011, he brought back the white strap.
Yep.
And thank God he did, because I think that is the look that it should have, because it should stand out from the rest of the titles, because it's not the rest of the titles.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
There was talk of bringing the Intercontinental, or they were going to combine, and I don't know if this is just hearsay, they were going to combine the U.S. and Intercontinental title.
Like they did before.
Yeah. But they were going to keep the outline bordering shape size of the Intercontinental title, but then have it like red, white, and blue in the center for the gold plate center. Not necessarily all red, white, and blue, but like a little bit or something like that. Kind of almost looking like it would have been the old U.S. Championship from WCW in a way. And I was like, okay, I'm on board with that. This new one looks like an NXT title. They all look the same to me now, man. Every title looks the exact same. I'm like, you guys might like. At least in AEW, the thing looks like a fucking belt buckle for the girls. It's something different. At least I know it's not the same title as everything else, man. But actually, like the world title, the tags, and the women are all 100%. They could not be polar opposites in AEW.
Right. Yeah, they're all unique. I like them. It's funny too. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. The backing of the tag titles in AEW are like snakeskin.
I did. And it also kind of, the shape of them remind me a little bit of the ECW tag titles back in the day.
Definitely.
It's actually when Omega came out and it was around his waist, I go, that's a good looking title. It was at that moment I go, I like that title.
Definitely.
But like you got Rollins winning it, Ambrose, all these guys.
Yeah.
Like when Rollins won it at WrestleMania, you were like, yeah, I saw that coming. Okay,
Yeah, right.
next match. I haven't cared when Baylor fought at was it WrestleMania that he had that title? Yeah, and Joe had U.S. title and he demolished Ray in seconds, and then Baylor and Lashley fought it over it real quick. It was just, to me, you just don't care. So if that's the case, how about this? You have a world champ, you have tag champs, you have women champ. That's it. Everybody should be vying to become a world champ one day. Yep. Other than that, just fight amongst yourselves until you get there.
Yep. And another thing, too, to think about, too, is over like the last 5 years or maybe even more is IC title a lot of times getting relegated to the pre-show on pay-per-view.
Oh,
or
yeah.
it's just
dude.
not on the card.
Oh, that made me so mad at WrestleMania 33. They took 2 title matches and put them on the pre-show. They put Neville and Austin Aries on the pre-show, and they had an amazing match. And then Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose on the pre-show. Now, am I a fan of Corbin? No, but I'm a fan of that title. Do you know what really made me upset more than anything? WrestleMania 25, and this is not the Intercontinental title. It's a little sidestep of a note, but talking about the care of titles. Man, WrestleMania 25, I am jacked. I'm going to be seeing Randy Orton take the world title from Triple H, most likely. Probably going to see Cena win the world title back and Edge and Big Show. By the way, I was wrong about Orton. Knew I was going to be seeing a classic with Undertaker and Michaels. I'm getting Hardy versus Hardy. Holy cow. Couldn't be any more excited. Wait, you're going to throw in the Raw Tag Team titles versus the SmackDown Tag Team titles unification match. Carlito and his cousin Primo versus Miz and Morrison. Oh, yes. Pre-show. Lumberjack match pre-show. So they could just get everybody's entire card, or everybody that's not on the card, out there. And my buddy Marty texted me right away, and he goes, this is bullshit. He goes, they just put a bad taste in my mouth. I go, me too. I'm sitting here staring at this. Because the arena, at best during their match, 60% full.
Right.
And it's like what they did. You know what? Go back to SummerSlam, Brooklyn. You put New Day and Usos that early on the kickoff show. Now we're going to show you guys what you just did wrong. And they had an excellent match for what? Maybe a quarter of the arena? Mm-hmm. Think about it, man. If you're going to say the titles are important or act like they are, then fucking make them important, dude. Intercontinental, like you just said, it's been delegated to pre-show nonstop. So why should I care?
Exactly.
I don't care about. That's why I have to stop and think sometimes for about a good, solid 10 seconds to think about who is a champion in WWE. When I don't even have to think twice in AEW. I'm like, no, yeah, that he's been holding it. Yeah, he had defenses. That's good. I can't think about it. U.S. title, I was like, well, it's either Shelton, Lashley, Apollo Crews, or MVP. I don't know, man. They're all in the same group. I'm like, they're all just, I keep feeling like everybody's just bouncing it back and forth. But then you also have, same with Jeff Hardy winning it. I was like, I think it was Styles. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, did Nakamura? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it just doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't.
The rise and fall of the Intercontinental Championship, man. I mean, like, that's it really, that we really found, I think we found the fall. It really was that era that we talked about, man. It's attitude. You stopped caring about it, and you started to push storylines way more than anything. We saw some glimpses of it, but I'd say by 2001, once you unified it, like you said, the unification was the absolute goodbye. So I'm going to give you the credit, man. 2001 was the absolute downfall for it to officially start sliding downhill, Clark Griswold style, with a whole lot of oil on the bottom of that thing. Good show, man. That was a great topic. Next week, it's going to be a special show. It's going to be the first time in all of our seasons, both, that we are going to be sitting side by side we're going to be sitting with each other, doing our one and only show next to each other, trying to spread as much COVID to each other as possible before we take off. No, I am going to be taking off again in the RV and traveling around the world, but excited to sit side by side with you. And next week, we're going to be doing a watch-along. A couple different things that we're going to be doing for this watch-along, but one thing for sure. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch it, save it, because you're going to watch it with us next week. We are going to sit back and watch the WWE Chronicle, the one that they promoted pretty heavily during one of their recent pay-per-views, or the NXT. It was the NXT show. Or SummerSlam weekend is what it was that they promoted this. It is about WrestleMania 36. We shifted from Tampa Bay to the Performance Center. And O.D.M. and I are going to sit back and watch it together next week. We're going to talk about it as it's happening. We hope that you guys are going to fire it up on 3, 2, 1 with us at that time. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, it's funny because even the promo of it, I was like, oh, man, that's right. How can we forget Rhea Ripley standing in the middle of the fucking stadium of Tampa Bay going, I can't wait to be here. And 4 days later, they're like, and the pandemic is reaching great heights. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And that's part of the video, man. That's part of what we're going to watch next week. Her sitting in there talking about how it's going to be the greatest moment of her entire life to come into that stadium. Kevin Owens talking about how he's going to jump off the ship that's at Tampa Bay. None of it happened, man. None of it happened. We're going to watch it next week together. So thank you guys so much for joining us again here on the Top of Wrestling Podcast. I listed all the platforms earlier. Please don't make me say them again. You can rewind it, but I'll give it a shot. Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, iTunes, Pandora, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Podbean, YouTube.
I keep forgetting YouTube. It's the only way we got this show started.
I know, right?
I'm leaving. It's like the first girlfriend. You just leave her in the dust. I don't know. I got
nothing for you.
I forgot to say, for us to talk with Nightwing, we didn't really get to ask him anything about, I'm sorry, where's this peaked in high school jock bullshit come from?
We're still waiting for the peak.
Yeah. No, good show today. Had a lot of fun. Can't wait to talk with you guys again next week. So enjoy Baylor versus Cole. Hopefully we have a new NXT champion. Hey, maybe the Dark Order screws over Brody Lee and we have a new TNT champion with Dustin. Who knows? Enjoy Wednesday Night Wars. Hope you enjoyed today's Intercontinental Championship Rise and Fall episode. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. O.D.M., you want to say goodbye, brother?
Fuck you.